Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. That down a little bit. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News News Twitter. If you can me CB Caps on Instagram. And sound effects you've heard come from, guess what, folks? He's back. The man, the myth, the method, the legend. Agent _ 70 back from his assignment.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the Borough of Kings. Yes, the fat lady has sung. The New York Mets are no longer in the playoffs. So you know what? My distractions have been lessened. I have one fewer distraction nowadays. But guess what, folks? We got some stuff to talk about this week and definitely next week.
Where you from?
Brooklyn going out to all. Just a kid from Brooklyn.
I guess that was going to be the other question I was going to ask you. Is there a Jets versus Giants game happening?
Jets versus Giants.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't seem right, but
football. No, it can happen. They're in different divisions. I have to look at the schedule. I'm not familiar with the football schedule this year, but they may be playing each other this year. There was the chance that the Yankees and the Mets might play in the World Series again, but because the Mets lost, the Yankees are facing the Dodgers as of this Friday.
And therein lies your football talk for
baseball.
Therein lies your sports ball talk for this whole year. Because that's not what we're here for. It just happened to come up. I don't even know why I asked.
As much as I try to interject with it every now and again, right?
And as much as I dislike it when he does, but he's going to do it anyway. But folks, this is the Comic Book Chronicles, is the show that you're actually listening to, and I'm not cutting any of that out. Which you can find on the Coastal of the Podcast Network, that's CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your Oh yeah. I knew. What's up, Benji? I knew about that one. But we'll get to that in a second. Good to have you. Good to see you here, sir. But you could also find this here podcast on your podcast place of choice, whether it be Apple iTunes, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to click like, subscribe, and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show.
Yes. Yeah, so Benji Games 2, shout out to him, who in the chat says that Vikings Rams are playing, and yeah, that one I knew about. But
what's up, Benji Games 2?
Yeah. But yeah, folks, so we're gonna get in here rolling because I'll say that for later on because it doesn't matter at this particular point now. But hey, if you're watching us on live on YouTube and Twitch, hey, congratulations, help you. I mean, and welcome. So yeah, we are going to get into this. First of all, Agent 70, since he was not here, got a couple of things to talk about from his mission, his assignments from last week. One of which was a side quest, actually. But
right.
But which means first off, we're going to have him talk about his experiences with the Attack on Titan musical.
Yeah, so we're doing a little bit of catch up here, folks, because we had a lot going on between the last time I appeared on the show and this week's episode. So I attended Attack on Titan the musical, which is based on obviously Attack on Titan. It was a musical performed in Japanese with, believe it or not, super titles in English. And I watched this on October 12th, 2024. So this was a Saturday. And, this is in Manhattan at the City Center Theater, which is like a really nice formal theater. They're like ballet ballet performances and, orchestral performances and stuff. So this is like a real deal theater. And I just pulled up a little bit about the musical itself. Apparently, it had premiered in Japan in January 2023. I'm fairly certain we talked about it on our show. because it sounded very familiar when this came up to me. But and it's obviously started touring around the world. But I guess this is the start of it. The city center engagement is the only American and New York premiere, and it's also the first production outside of Japan. So it's a big freaking deal, and it was a lot of fun. They interpreted only a fraction of the actual manga and anime story because there's so much to it. We would have been there for 2 days if they were going to do a musical about everything, right? It was literally just an adaptation of like a portion of the first season, right? It's not even the full first season, it's a portion of it. So we don't even get into some of the twists and turns. And we actually do not get into the part where actually, no, we do cover the part that Roddykat turned off the, where Roddykat got to and he turned it off. That's definitely part of the story in the musical. Because as I recall, Roddykat watched it and he was just like, "I'm not watching if this is what happens to the main character."
Even though I found out later on that what happened after that. Yes.
exactly. See, I remember that. Mm-hmm. So in any event, it was a lot of fun. I did get some swag because I was lucky enough to sit really close. And this had its pros and cons. I actually got tickets through my buddy's buddy, right? To sit in like the second row in the orchestra. We were mad close, like looking right up people's noses, basically, right? And you could see the performers right up close. So there was a pro and a con to that. I'll start with the con.
Wait, first, before you do that, hold that thing. You hold that up again.
Oh, no, I will.
Oh, okay.
I will. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm starting with the con.
Gotcha.
Remember, I mentioned that that it was in Japanese with super titles in English. So it's not subtitles because they're not under you. They're above you. They're super titles, as in they're on these television or video boards on the left and right of the stage. So if you're sitting that close, the con is that you have to angle yourself to look up to look at the subtitles or the super titles and miss some of what's happening on stage, and that's kind of tough, right? That's the con. But the pro of sitting up real close is I'm gonna drop the virtual background just for a second and show this awesome poster that was given to the people who were sitting up front, right? So it's Attack on Titan, the musical, right? You could see Eren, Mikasa, and Armin as youth and in their early adulthood. And it's pretty cool. I'm definitely going to be putting this one up. And they also had, and Roddykat was chuckling during the our pre-production meeting, there was also, believe it or not, a playbill for the Attack on Titan musical. Right here, folks. Right here.
Yeah, we live in some weird times, folks.
Right. So, it was a very interesting evening. It was definitely well done, right? It's not without its, the no performance is ever without mishaps, and there was an interesting mishap in mine. The head of the Attack Titan almost snapped off in the during one of the final scenes, and it was very distracting. Like this was they did the Titans with some puppetry, like big puppetry. Like you've been to I haven't been to that many musicals, but I understand from my experience at the Lion King that's that's kind of what they adopted, like big scenes, like with animals, and now with Titans, big puppets that they can have production people kind of move around and articulate. So that's what we had in the show, and one of the puppets had a mishap, but what are you going to do? It still turned out well. Cool. Alrighty, so that's the Attack on Titan musical. That was literally 2 weeks ago because I did not have a chance to talk about it when I was last on the show.
Right. So, but before you get to the next thing, got some stuff in the chat. Mindy says, "Good to be here." AEO 870. Dang, that's cool. Talking about your the Attack on Titan musical. Von Gloom is in the building.
What's up, Von
Von
Gloom?
Gloom says Agent 70 is back in the building. No one in the club has got swagger like Agent 70. And he also says, guess it beats a Goblin Slayer or a redo of a hero musical player. Musical play.
That's funny.
So, but yeah, sorry, I had to pick up some stuff off the ground. It's kind of
It's all good. It's all good. It happens. Listen, I made a joke earlier to Roddykat, and it still bears repeating. My home office is a wreck right now because it's always like a whirlwind comes through here whenever it's Comic-Con time. Right? Sometimes it's digging out stuff that you want to get signed. Sometimes it's all the stuff that you picked up. And this year it's a lot of the stuff that I picked up that I need to kind of organize and sift through. And so we're going to be pushing a lot of our New York Comic-Con coverage, at least for the stuff that I got in like the in-person stuff, to next week because we just got a lot of stuff to catch up on.
Yeah, and we hope to have as well. I was saying last week that we were going to try to get a friend of the show, Matt Wang 97, on the show this week, but it was just whether things went the way they did, and he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to be next week as well. So if you're waiting to hear Agent 70 and Matt Wang's New York Comic-Con experiences, that'll be next week, not this week.
Yes.
So that being said, 87 is going to now talk about this week's The Penguin Show.
Right. And very quickly, I'll speak about also episode 4, right? Since I wasn't around last week to talk about it. So episode 4 of The Penguin was probably, one of the turning points, like basically the turning point in the show. Episode 4, if you hadn't heard anything about it, is the Sofia Falcone story. And, basically it is really a powerful piece of television. It makes you, it's phenomenal. It makes you understand why why HBO or Max positioned the Penguin Show in that Sunday night, like drama / crime drama slot, the way they have. And it's, that's going to be, it's funny being like a little bit older now and saying, much like I did with Shogun, I kept saying that Anna Sawai is going to get that Emmy. And if there's one episode that the Penguin people are going to submit for Kristen Milioti, it's going to be episode 4 because a lot of people are talking about it. And, I'm sure Roddykat, being, in tune with the news as he is, probably saw a lot of talk about that and about her performance in episode 4. So that was last week. That was the focus on Sofia Falcone. But now that rolls right into talking about episode 5 this week, which is titled Homecoming. I'll get the title for episode 4 in a second. So episode 4 was titled Cent'anni, right? It's an Italian word for, it's like a blessing for like maybe you live 100 years or something. And this week's episode is titled Homecoming, and it's really about Oswald Cobb going back to his roots in Crown Point, which is like a more downtrodden part of Gotham City. And a lot of things are happening here, but it's basically gearing up for like the final half of the series, which is an 8 episodes. So we're already well past the halfway point. We're going into the final third, and Oz and Sophia, now going by the last name, her mother's maiden name, Gigante, are gearing up for basically their big confrontation. So it's basically 2 crime lords going at each other, with possibly the Maroni family, another crime family, joining up with Sophia Gigante. So if you are not watching this, you should. I realize that it does help to have watched the Batman. That's one of the reasons why Roddykat is putting this off for a little while. But ultimately, I think it's a good television show on its own. I think it does do you a service if you watch The Batman to help provide more context for this show. So in that, I do agree with Roddykat, but if you just want to watch a good kind of crime show that's not really all that superheroic, it doesn't have that many trappings of the Batman universe. It has echoes of it to a certain extent. This episode has a little bit more of that, but ultimately it's still a great show on its own. So I definitely recommend it.
So wait, back up. Are they really going with just Oz Cobb and not his whole name Cobblepot?
Cobblepot? Possibly.
Huh.
Possibly. We don't know. You know how names get changed in, immigration for legal reasons or all sorts of things, right?
Sure.
So we don't know if they're going to revert to that because up until episode like 4 or even 5, you never hear anyone call him Oswald.
Right.
He just goes by Oz. So it makes sense that it might be a slow roll. It might be a slow rollout. That means they might be slow playing.
Yeah, I've seen them do that in something else also, but
exactly. So we don't know yet. I can't say for sure whether they're going to forego the Cobblepot.
Fun Gloom says emo unwashed Batman. So it's like Gotham but better. Come on now, Gotham was alright. Gotham was kind of bonkers, but that's what made it good.
Gotcha. I never watched Gotham. I was never that interested in that.
Yeah. Like it was far removed from a lot of stuff, but they toyed with some things. So
right.
But anyway,
I think what I would say is this is a show. This is probably what Gotham would have really wanted to do if it was HBO.
Sure. Yeah, I could probably see that. I can kind of see that actually.
Right.
A little bit more grounded into the actual mob situation as opposed to
exactly, and you could see the budget being spent,
right,
as opposed to corners being cut on network TV like that.
And boy, howdy! But like I said, that's what made the show bonkers and good. So
right.
Or parts of it, I should say, not the whole show. Anyway, that being said, that's cool. So 87 was not here when I talked about last week's Agatha All Along. So we will get into that as well as talk about this week's episode, which is episode 7 called Death Hand and Mine. So I don't know if you have anything about the last week's you wanted to mention, if you remember.
You got to refresh my memory, and I'm going to take a look at the. I'm going to look in the app to take a look at the title and the quick recap.
We found out pretty much what everybody already knew about Teen's identity.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's the gist of it, realistically.
That's right. No. I apologize. You're right. Yeah. So ultimately, we pretty much move on into this week's episode, which titled last week's title was Familiar by Thy Side, and right. I think there's some question as to maybe who the familiar is in this.
No, it wasn't, because that's basically was Teen, but it's also obviously because they've even said that in past shows that I think either Agatha had said something in the past shows like, oh, he's from my familiar.
Right. What I was going to say is there may be some. I was listening to. I want to say it was another podcast. I said, well, it might be the other way around, because he's the one with power and she's the one, and looking to kind of, harness it, whereas she's the one that's looking to find it. So
sure, that's interesting.
Right. Yeah. Exactly, and that's exactly my point. Is that that's what I wanted to say, is that may end up being the case, in that Agatha ends up being we can just say it now, Billy's familiar to a certain extent. But now we get to Death's Hand in Mine, and we find out that some people went away just to come back. They didn't necessarily die, and which is good. And we find out that they got pushed off the road, but find their way back. But we also get what's funny, what we were just talking about, what I just mentioned before about episodes being submitted for Emmy nominations. This might be a Patti LuPone nomination, because this is a really strong episode for Patti LuPone. She does a great job here. We go into Lilia's backstory and how she connects to this coven and how she has been connected to this coven maybe since she was born.
Yeah.
Because it depends on how you interpret some of the way her power works and some of the ways that her power works and some of the depictions of her power.
Right, because it's not like last week where we saw where Billy was connected to everyone. We don't necessarily see that here for Lilia, but we do see the potential for that.
Right. We see her, kind of being a day tripper, like she's basically going, in between moments in time, and it's really a well acted part. It's a well written part for her at this episode.
Right. And I kind of hated the way people were like, the discussion videos after the fact were talking about like, oh, she's going crazy, this and that and that. I was like, no, you can clearly see, like, well, you not clearly see, but like, it was pretty much not necessarily spelled out, but it was like, no, it's her. Because I think it even said it through the course of a couple of episodes, like, no, that's kind of her powers kind of working against her at first. Now, granted, this episode here is kind of explaining how all of that plays into, everything that we've seen.
Part of the story, right?
Right,
exactly.
Everything we've seen from her so far, and kind of brings all of that back into play. But everybody was like, she's getting crazy, she's going, she's getting old, she got dementia, or whatever the case might be. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Do you?
Pay attention, folks. Pay attention.
Right. So that part,
it's not what they're trying to depict.
Right. Although you can draw a parallel to it, but yeah, it's like you can kind of draw a parallel to it, having had some unfortunate experience, in the real life with people going through stuff like that. But this is not the same thing. Like I said, the parallel you can kind of see, but it ain't the same thing. Regardless, in addition to being the showcase, well, actually this was the trial that I was thinking was going to happen a couple of episodes ago, but apparently you can see why they did it now. You can see why it shows up now as opposed to then, in relation to the whole thing. And of course we get to get the answer to the other question some folks had about another person's identity, not necessarily where they've been, but who they are. And of course most people were pretty much right about that as well, because it wasn't like it was that hidden,
right?
But it also could have been a swerve, so you never really know until you see something like this.
Right. So it's funny that this character ended up being who we thought it was. It's not Mephisto, folks.
Nope.
But then you start to think, well, it's a shame that they killed off Thanos, because that would have been some interesting Infinity Gauntlet /war stuff.
I mean, realistically, if depending on how much legs is they could very well do something with that and bring that back somehow, kind of way.
It's like, oh, that would have been interesting.
Right. So, but yeah, the other thing, going back to last week's show, and that was also funny, was spoiler alert, folks. They pulled a boner again, and
I forgot about bonerific.
I
can't believe they brought Ralph Boner back in. Oh, that's so funny.
The funny part about that was, it was like, okay, wait, so he's going to meet somebody, and I was sitting there thinking as I was watching the show, I was like, well, okay, we've pretty much seen everybody who was there from Westview, so they're not gonna pull a boner. They did pull a boner.
Yes, they did.
And I chuckled. I was like, dang, he's but it was still a good play, but I was like, okay, you could kind of see it coming if you think about it a little bit, but at the same time, again, could have been a swerve. We don't know. Could have been somebody else. But I thought that was a trip. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, this was a great episode this week. The Plaza is Redacted is perfect for Deadpool for sure. Yeah. Indeed. But yeah, we got, actually wait, We only got
What's
one
up?
more episode left, right? Let me go back. Let me go.
Wait, I
I
heard.
can't remember if it was 8 or 10.
No,
It's
no,
9.
it's
Excuse me. It's
9.
9. Yes.
Right.
So we
So
got.
I heard that next week is a doubleheader. That next week we're going to get 2 episodes.
So we're gonna get the last 2 next week. That makes sense. Yeah, that's
Right.
not the first time they've done that. So just kind of go ahead and just to get that out of the pocket. So
Right. I mean, it's tough. I mean, thankfully, like it plays Wednesday evening, so hopefully I can put some time aside Wednesday evening to knock out those 2 episodes,
right.
or at least watch part of it and then watch the other part of it before we record next week's show.
Right. And yeah, and just like the when the show started, I'm sure it's set up purposely for them to go together like that. So
Right.
not that big of a surprise that's happening.
Right.
All right, folks. So now we've got that out of the way. We are going to get into last week's books that we have in common.
We'll go quickly, folks.
Yes.
So last week's books will lead off with. We'll lead off with Avengers Assemble number 2 of 5. It's written by Steve Orlando with pencils by Scott Eaton, inks by Elisabetta D'Amico, colors by Sonia Obach, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So the second issue of Avengers Assemble takes a little bit of a swerve from the first one, right? It's a little bit of a swerve. It's a little bit of a swerve art-wise as well. I thought. Scott Eaton's style has kind of morphed a little bit. At least this is just my perspective. If I went back and looked at some of his other work, I feel that his, work may have been a little sharper, but maybe it was to achieve an effect in this month's book because it is Halloween themed. And so it's darker, it's a little bit more moody, less super heroic to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, it's we get to see a little bit of what goes around comes around when it comes to the Red Ghost, and it's the story basically is a parable of you realize that science is filled with mistakes that scientists are looking to improve upon and correct. And in the Red Ghost case, he had to go through a lot of test subjects before he was able to get to his, the super apes that were able to take on various members of the Marvel superheroic universe. And all that came back around and, came back to him in spades.
Right. The broken eggs he broke came back to haunt him.
Basically.
So,
Basically.
yeah.
And we get to see Hercules use his almost indestructible mace for something.
You're right.
It's
something
very
outside of
rare
him,
that you got to see him, that you ever get to see him use that. And I like that Steve Orlando picked this spot to give his weapon a little shine, because obviously the only other times I've really seen him use it is to like fight Thor, and they're not going to let Mjolnir lose in that one.
Right. Yeah. Like and the mace was used for something other than hitting, as Agent 70 said. So yeah, that was a interesting change. I did love the banter between Hawkeye and Night Thrasher.
Oh yeah,
they was kind of head up on each other, not necessarily combatively way, but kind of jokingly, but probably also a little bit of combative. But they have their personalities are slightly similar in that respect, so it kind of worked out. It kind of worked out well. And then
right, and as two of like the non-enhanced people on the team,
right,
it makes sense that they would be that they would look at certain things with very similar perspectives.
Right, despite one of them being more technically minded than the other.
Right.
So, and I love how it kept going like $5 words, $10 words that they kept talking about during the course of the thing. So, And then, of course, in the background, society is kind of doing this thing. So, there was a lot of other stuff kind of going in the background of the episode outside of the mission, which I guess is going to turn in, which is going to show up next issue. But good stuff.
Right, because this is where that character everyone thinks is going to show up in the MCU really is.
Right.
So.
And with that, we can move on to our next book, which I did talk about just a little bit last week. So I don't think I need to say too much more than what I've said unless something comes up.
Oh, so the next book, so Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 25, written by Cody Ziegler.
Ultimate.
Which book?
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, Ultimate. Oh, I'm sorry. Ultimate Spider-Man number 10. I thought you said next, and then I realized that it was the other book that we had in common. Right. Ultimate Spider-Man number 10 is written by Jonathan Hickman with art by David Messina, colors by Matthew Wilson, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So, refresh my memory. This issue has Ben Parker and J. Jonah Jameson really doing that journalism thing, and it's great to see. That's one of my favorite parts of this Ultimate version, right? We get to see Uncle Ben really step into this, and this is obviously not the role that Uncle Ben played in the 616 universe. It's not the job that he had. We don't think, right? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm not sure actually.
Right, we don't know for sure, right? We just know that he dies, and at the end of the day, they get to really shine as as news hounds, like kind of really traditional news hounds. And what's funny is that they you think they're going to drop a story bomb one way, but it kind of does a swerve. Right. Did you think that was the story they were going to drop when you first read it?
So as I said last week, there were some things that almost kind of went the way like the cover shows.
Right.
But also, I also kind of thought that because it was like, okay, things look like they're kind of going one way, and apparently even a character that they're talking to thought that certain way as by their reaction.
Right.
But it didn't. So that was like, okay, all right, that was a nice little turn of events there. But also basically, as what I said last week, it was like, Ben and JJJ just pretty much kept poking the bear.
Right. Well, no, they kept they were doing that whole investigative reporter thing, and it's just great to see. It's very much oh my goodness, the reporters in whatchamacallit at the Washington Post.
Right.
I forget their names.
Oh, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, or
no, that's from Shakespeare.
No, you're right. I just said the Watergate thing, and I totally can't remember who it was.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, because yes, that you say that. I think that came up. Somebody was talking last week about that, and I still can't remember. Either way, y'all know who I'm talking. Well, some of y'all might know who I'm talking.
I already Googled it, so I'm just waiting for it to come up. Woodward and Bernstein.
Woodward and Bernstein, gotcha. Yeah, I was totally
the Washington Post.
Yes,
Woodward and Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein. So
yes.
that's if you're knowledgeable enough or old enough, and I'm only knowledgeable enough, definitely not old enough to see the parallels here, unless you watched All the President's Men, right? That's the parallel that I took from this, and I like that, and I really like that reveal at the end, that last page reveal, the cliffhanger page, and that really was a nice touch. Kind of circling back to my point earlier, that you think they're about to reveal a story, pursue a story in one direction, and there's a little bit of a swerve, and then when you see the swerve, you're like, oh, I don't know if I actually thought that's where they were going. And Hickman does a great job of teasing that they were going one way and they actually went another.
But at the same time, hey, it's these bigger fish that's probably going to, like I said, it's still them poking the bear. It's just the much bigger bear that they keep poking as they've been going along with this. And with this one, the one at the end of this is probably going to see some action happening.
Right, and now we find out they're actually, the origin of Ben Reilly in this Ultimate universe.
right. and it's not how you think. But hey, it was a good use of
Right.
that. So I was like, all right, they put that they put that to good use there. Pretty good.
Right. All right.
Okay, now we're gonna circle back around to Miles Morales Spider-Man number 25.
I'm sorry about that. Miles Morales Spider-Man number 25 is written by Cody Ziegler with art by Federico Vicentini, colors by Brian Valenza, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. So again, this is last week, so you're gonna have to help me out here. As I recall, this is Black Panther doing a big guest appearance in the pages of Miles's book, and he doesn't necessarily provide a Wakandan cure, but what he does do is provide a new Wakandan-inspired action figure. I mean, Spider-Man suit.
Yes. So the new Miles's new suit has been revealed and put to use by the end. Actually, at the end specifically, but surely during the course of the issue, it gets some use out of it, especially near the end, like I said, as we will see, and going into the next issue.
Right.
Outside of that, that's pretty much it. Well, they teased also speaking of Wakanda, they did tease a trip to Wakanda. So whether that's actually going to happen or not, I don't know. But also there was a backup story where Miles meets the new Deadpool. And who's working with I'll just go ahead and spoil it, who's working with the Taskmaster. And I don't know if that's something from Deadpool book or wherever the case may be, but it just so happened to put that in this book. And I guess makes sense because Cody Ziegler is writing both books.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Gotcha. Oh, so that's where that's what they were doing with the whole Death of Deadpool thing. Okay.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And then next up, and then actually, I forgot that I put your books in the order that you had them, so I didn't change it. So that was my fault for not going in that order. But
That's all.
Yeah. But the last book that we have in common from last week is still in the Spider Corner, which is Spectacular Spider-Man number 8.
Spectacular Spider-Man number 8 is written by Greg Weisman with art by Emilio Laizo and Andre Genole with colors by Edgar Delgado and letters by our favorite lettering paisan VC's Joe Caramagna, who I did see at New York Comic Con but did not interact with. So this is kind of like an epilogue issue, no?
You're right.
Where it's an epilogue, but it's also laid out as the first issue in a new arc where they actually title the story Triage because they're looking to triage everyone that dealt with the latest Murder World incarnation, but for Spidey, but Spidey centric Murder World, right? And I was very happy to see a Silk cameo. I hope there's more Silk to be seen in these pages because we don't see her anywhere in her own book right now. So hopefully we'll see her here because I don't think we see her in Spider Society at all. So we see her a little bit in the first issue.
A little bit. Yeah,
she does make a cameo in the first issue, but in any event, in this issue, like I was saying, there's a bit of a lead into a new story as we kind of do an epilogue for the previous story.
Yeah. So a couple little bits off of it, like we Arcade Metallo may have another business partner coming out of that whole thing. Peter got a date so I was like, okay, this can't go well. Like Peter got a date with somebody who brushed him off back in high school.
Of course.
So yeah, that whole Miles situation with potentially Starling and Kamala got brought back up. OG Electros kind of was having some feelings, And I did not pick up on this until this issue. Apparently, Night Mask, or the I guess the quote unquote current version, MCU, not MCU, excuse me, the current universe version of Night Mask showed up here as one of the victims.
Right.
I don't know why I didn't pick up on that, because they say it here. It was like, wait, he was missing his friend. I was like, wait, that's Starbrand. So, and I vaguely remember when Starbrand, quote unquote, well, he died, but I was like, dang, like that was something from a while ago. Let me bring it up here, and I don't even remember half of that from the Arcadium thing. So that was a whole nother thing. But yeah, at the end we got the new thing going into the next start off the new arc. Might be a new mutant, might be a new Hydro person.
We don't know.
Yeah, so that one's kind of up in the air, but still, regardless, Spectacular Spider-Man continues to be a good book.
It's fun, and and Weisman has taken this kind of community-based spider book. Because this is kind of a revisitation on Spidey's college years, right? And putting him into it's kind of like a friends scenario, because they're meeting for coffee in the same spot every week,
right?
So they're regulars. It's friends and cheers to a certain extent, because you get Miles and Peter coming in. It's like Norm. Right. So ultimately, that's an interesting dynamic, with also putting Peter back into the whole ESU scene. It's all very much kind of it's a nice reinterpretation of stuff that has come before, and it's a remix of stuff that we've seen. But I definitely like Weisman's take on this particular dynamic. Other than, I want to say, the whole bit about remember there was like a running gag about like what's it called, their Spidey acrobatic, no, the Spidey antics or something. Yeah, I can do without that. But other than that, this has been a very good book.
Yeah. And yeah, true. What was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say about that situation, but it's probably not that important. Von Gloom says Uncle Ben is like Tommy from Martin. He ain't got no job, going back to Ultimate Spider-Man. And he also says, hey, yo, you snubbed your favorite paisan?
He's our favorite lettering paisan. Oh man, listen, New York Comic Con is wild, man. Like, there's just so many things to do. I just didn't have a chance to stop, but yeah, I'm gonna make a point of it next year. It'll be like, hey, I haven't stopped to talk to you, but I call you our favorite lettering paisan. So
indeed, and with that, we're going to. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. Anyway, I was about to say we'll move on to this week's books, right?
Yeah, we're going into this week's books, which actually, I don't know if you have the soundbite ready for Gatchaman number 4.
Gatchaman number 4 is written by Cullen Bunn, with pencils by Chris Batista, inks by Sabrina Cintron, colors by Carlos Lopez, and letters by Buddy Bodoin. So we have, the team is kind of split up, except it's basically Jun the Swan behind enemy lines, while the rest of the Gatchaman Science Ninja team is in the God Phoenix, and they're trying to figure out how they can help Jun behind enemy lines, while also dealing with this latest Galactor threat. But it seems like other plans have been put in place to help out Jun, and I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
Right, which makes sense, because we were wondering when and or how this other thing was going to come into place. Spoiler alert, folks, if you did not know. So there's a B team of basically Gatchamen in training, you might want to say, that has shown up in the first couple of issues, but they hadn't really done much with. And now we have, well, here you go. Since the main team is kind of busy taking care of the monster from actually the first issue that they still hadn't taken care of, then they send the B team in to help out Jun, and who, you know, didn't necessarily need it, but she could use a little bit of it. So I enjoyed this episode because it did focus more on her in a way that the show and a lot of times had not. Now, also in a similar thing as they done in the show, a lot of panty shots. I'm sitting here like, okay, I don't know if that was Cullen Bunn.
Shout out to artist Chris Batista.
Right. I don't know if that was Chris Batista kind of adding that in there, or Cullen Bunn writing that into the thing, saying, hey, how about doing a little bit like this, kind of make it a little bit more anime, what? Because this is how we do or something. But it was very noticeable. It was kind of funny. But it was like that. This
notice it was just kind of the flow of the action, but that's a credit to the action choreography.
Sure. Okay. Wink, wink. Sure, sir. That being said, like listen, it's a particular click of the week for me because like, it was a good, it was a good breezy action, and like it kind of also made me wanted to go back and read the last week because I felt like I missed something. Like, granted, no, because it was the first and second issue that had like I had a 2-month break, and then the rest has been going like normal. So it was like, wait, did I miss something here? I'm almost certain I did not, but it's here we are.
The last issue was more Jun going undercover and then getting her cover blown.
Right.
So you didn't really miss too much.
But I think I'm fairly certain I read it, but it's just part of me felt like I'm like, wait, it seemed like there was a jump here, or that I must have missed, but I don't think so. So
got it.
Either way, but that's Gatchaman number 4. There was a Gatchaman Galactor that came out this week. Neither one of us had a chance to read it yet, so that's that. And wait, actually, we didn't talk about this week's books. So the next book we're going to go into is Avengers number 19.
Avengers 19 is written by Jed MacKay with art by Fareed Karami, colors by Federico Blee, and letters by VC's Corey Petit. I got a kick out of this month's Avengers book because this is the first time that we get to see Storm step into a major role with the Avengers. We get to see right at the beginning Jed MacKay write Black Panther out of the book for a little while, or at least this issue for a little while, and do it with the story purpose. Right? Do it purposefully with the story to kind of write T'Challa out of this particular issue so that you get to see it as a story point and a reason for some things to actually happen in this story, because everyone notices that T'Challa is looking to do something on his own, as far away from his ex-wife as possible when his ex-wife joins the team.
Right. Look,
everyone sees it, and everyone notices. But that's really like the kind of the opener to this issue. And we get to the main part of this issue, which is kind of a crossover into the rest of the Marvel Universe, and probably prepping for the big Doom crossover that's coming up soon. This is the Sorcerer Supreme Doom calling on the Avengers and calling them to quote unquote task for letting the world get to the state that letting the world kind of descend to the state that it's in, where Doom is looking to is basically asking the Avengers why they don't do stuff that the Squadron Supreme would do. And with that, I'll hand it off to Roddykat.
No, you pretty much captured. Yeah, that was pretty much the thing about it. The funny thing about that is no one called back to when Doom was Iron Man to ask him why he didn't do anything in his quote unquote heroic leaning role. But the whole thing played out in a very Doom like manner, of course, because like he kind of came and did his thing and as Agent 7 said, put them to task, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty much. He's not gonna stop being Doom, despite him having this new mantle. And yeah, we do have news in the news section about that upcoming event. That's going to. That this is pretty much starting to lead off to. But the thing I loved about this is also a potential click of the week for me. The
same here. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Panther stuff, the Predator handshake moment between T'Challa and Sam.
I thought that was so lame.
I know, I loved it because they had been at odds for like, the front part of this volume. So the fact that they kind of, they hashed it out. Like, yeah, it could be seen lame because, like, yeah, that's been done. I don't know how many different times in different places, but I got a kick out of it. So the fact that everybody noticed that T'Challa was kind of getting away from things, which, yeah, you don't understand. That was his main boo. So, you gotta. Right. that's the thing. Storm kind of stepping up, and you can see her fitting right into the team, especially with the way they handled the Doom situation and how everybody, as the team would do with its varying iterations when up against an opposing force, or in this case, it's what it is. They kind of come together and kind of read off of each other, right? And Storm kind of fit right in that. So it was just great all around for all of that put together. Right. So
just a couple of quick notes before we move on. One is I like Storm fitting in with Carol because they do have some history. As when they were running around in the pages of the Claremont X-Men. So I like that Carol has an extra person on the team that she can speak to and confide in. It's a different it's a unique dynamic between the two of them. Especially coming with the history that they share. Right. Also, of note, when they do the group shot. Right, the artist on this is heretofore unknown to me, Farid Karami. So I like Farid's work. This is actually a pretty good looking issue. There is a shot with the Avengers standing in Doom colors at the on the floor of the United Nations. It looks like, and what's interesting about this one is that. Doom is saying you should make this a good world, a right world, and Avengers world. I was like, oh, that's a Hickman callback.
Yep, boom. And I got that in my notes too. I was like, yes, he called back to it.
That's a Hickman callback. Oh, it was a great time to be reading Avengers. It was very oh my goodness. I'm gonna go back and read Infinity again for like 50th time.
Indeed. Yeah, I enjoyed that moment as well too. Part of it though kind of gave me pause because it was like, wait a minute, we're getting back in some HydroCap business here with all this green and
green and black, right?
Right. Like, hold up, back up here, back it up. But it was all in service of what Doom was trying to offer and whatnot, which I'm sure we may or may not see again at some point. But yeah, that was great stuff. I was going to say the Carol and Storm thing also kind of harkens back to a couple of weeks ago when we talked about Phoenix, because just like then, with her at the same time, her and Jean, as her and Storm also kind of had that because of their history together in the X book. So that was great. Von Gloom. So before we move on, let's see. Von Gloom says you got to make him an offer that he can't refuse. Talking about Caramagna. Will
that's funny.
Will Tony have his steampunk suit in the next issue? Probably not, because I think it probably takes I guess depending on how much headway they got prior to the thing, which they probably have gotten a lot. I would imagine that's probably going to take a couple of issues before we see that here.
Right, that's us as actual grown-up comic book readers, interpreting, schedules.
Right.
That's pretty much what that comes down to. Right. Is that whole steampunk thing was just dropped this week, so it may take a little while to catch up in some of the other books that may have some more lead time.
Right. And Ari, the artist of Avengers, he drew Black Panther, Blood Hunt. That's right. Yes.
Okay.
And She-Hulk as well. So we have seen him before, but
Okay.
yeah. Someplace else I've seen him, but yeah, that's the most recent, and I think he's a more recent artist in a way, so that would stand to reason. All right, next up, actually, I'm gonna go back up to your list because it's pretty much in the order. Speaking of, Iron Man #1 is our next book.
Iron Man #1 is written by Spencer Ackerman with art by Julius Ota, colors by Alex Sinclair, and letters by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. So we just spoiled a little bit about what's happening in Iron Man #1. Tony has to basically redo his Iron Man portfolio of armors because he thinks something is, technically wrong with them, but he is mistaken. And of course, the whole Roxxon thing. I'm honestly hoping that there is some crossover with Thor in this when Thor finally takes care of Roxxon once and for all until Roxxon incarnates itself once again, right? Because Roxxon is just one of those corporate bad guys that keeps coming back time after time, just like Stark, right?
Mhm.
Stark. There's always an incarnation of Stark. Stark Unlimited, Stark Enterprises, Stark this, that, and the other thing. Roxxon's the same way, but but circling back to this, Tony has to figure out a way to get around this particular issue with his armor while at the same time dealing with a hostile takeover.
Yes.
Business wise, and it's an interesting thing that's always been the dynamic with Iron Man. There's always been some corporate drama intertwined with the Iron Man armor armored battles drama. So your thoughts, and then I had last thing to add.
Oh, go ahead. Say your thing.
So what I wanted to add is something that Roddykat and I spoke about in our pre-production meeting, which is the take that Julius Ota has put on the page when it comes to Iron Man's Tony Stark's look. And obviously, what they do to kind of explain it away in this issue is that he's been convalescing. He's injured and he's had to rehabilitate himself physically because he had to take a big crash in one of his armors while it was unpowered, right? But they make him look so emaciated that he looks like Christian Bale doing some method acting, like losing a ton of weight. And it's a little bit off-putting to me. I don't know how Roddykat felt about it.
Yeah, so I didn't have that big of a problem with it because given what they were going for, and like I said before the show, I was like, yeah, they're kind of going for that. Well, one, Tony's getting older, and they even say so in the course of the book, and like you said, because he's been convalescing, which I feel like this book has been a series of agains, like you said, again somebody's trying to take over the company. Again, he's had to which granted it happens often. Again, he gets another suit, and we also find out about what happens to the magic suit, which comes up in here. Again, one of his old business nemesis or a relative therein kind of comes back into play as a part of things. In this case, I assume a reincarnated. I'm not going to speak the person's name, but it's not the person, or it's not the name who you first would think of, and it's or the person you would think of in relation to a new Ironmonger, which shows up in this book.
Right.
So yeah, so there's that, and also Tony took a page from some Spidey Villains book because that he had an idea for an app that I've seen in the pages of Spider-Man and other books talking about making wagers on making wagers on superhero battles. I'm like, you stole that idea, sir. You stole that. Like,
oh man, this whole legalized sports betting has become just a fact of life now.
It's a thing. It is absolutely a thing. So yeah, so
Very
look.
quickly, did you notice? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say. I was just going to say it's also like Agent 7 kind of alluding to. It's Patch Tuesday for all of his armor. If you're into tech or video games enough, you know what that means. But
Right.
we find out that an Agents of Shield, an Agent of
Yeah,
Shield is
that's exactly
on.
what I was about to mention.
Yep, is on the board, and also a I can't remember. So I've seen this AIM villain in other people's books. I don't remember seeing her in his books. In his book as of recent, but I know the name enough to was like, yeah, I've seen her showing up here and there, but also on the board. So AIM's on the board, and this and they have a partnership with Roxxon. This is all spelled out in here. So, but how that's going to turn into what the cover of the book says, I guess we're going to find out. Well, part of it you already gotten that because part of it is there.
Right.
So yeah, I'm still kind of on board with the book. Just well, not still on
It's
board.
only the first issue, right?
I know
It's
that's
only-
what I was about to say. I don't know why I said that when it was just the first issue.
It's
But
interesting that, like I'm kind of confused. I'm like, wait a second, wasn't Bobby DaCosta in charge of AIM for a little while? Because that's the last time I remember seeing this
US
character.
Adventures, yes, he sure was. He owned them.
Right. So did he like step away or something happened? I don't
That's
remember.
a
So I don't know
very
what's going
good
on here.
question. Right.
So
I thought about that too
we'll
because I was
find
like,
out.
wait a minute. Unless maybe when the Krakoan era came about, he gave all that up, and that might have actually been spelled out in that New Mutants book. That might have been
Yeah,
said
right.
in that news book, but I don't recall.
Right. So I'm not 100% sure about that. That kind of, my spidey sense started tingling just a little bit when I saw the character. I was like, wait, what? I wonder what happened there. That might become a story point later on.
Maybe. But yeah, good first issue for what it is. Oh, the suit malfunction thing kind of reminded me of the MCU. Slightly.
Yeah, I
wasn't
get
the-
it. I see that. I see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, granted, it wasn't the same situation that caused it, but still, I was like, okay, yeah, he's and him having to come back or someone having to come back from it the way that happens, like, yeah, that's kind of the same. Von Gloom said he thought that MODOK came back and took it over, and I think that might have been the case. You might be right about that, but I can't remember if that was in that MODOK book, which was kind of a satire or whatever the case may be, or that was someplace else. But I do remember MODOK kind of coming back into the picture and dealing with somebody that's in this book, actually. Von Gloom also says the New Mutants book was Bobby DeCosta trying to bone Deathbird. Well, yeah.
I mean,
that's true, but I mean, he was, he would, if it wasn't gonna be her, it was gonna be somebody.
Right.
But yeah, he
Right.
That's where he spent his time, which I guess can you blame him? Anyway, you've seen.
I was about to say, you know what, his old professor was, getting after another bird lady. So
Yeah, pretty much. It runs in the quote unquote family. So
Right.
for before we get out of this, if you're watching the video version, you can see the David Barden Deadly Foes variant cover, which shows Iron Man and the faces of all of his rogues gallery, such as it is. Now, granted, there's a lot of people on here, but Iron Man's rogues gallery is not that deep.
It's not. It never has been, which was always an interesting thing that they were going to have to deal with in the MCU.
Right. I mean, granted, some notables on here, but it's like there's a lot of faces on here for this. Like, obviously, the other armored folks. I think it looks like Claw, and I guess that's Magneto at the top left. I'm not sure, but
Hold on, I got to take a look at this. What's the artist name?
David Barden, and it's the Deadly Foes variant.
Oh, Deadly Foes variant. All right, let me
Yeah.
pull this up. I got to take a look at this.
So,
Take a look. See if I can help Roddykat out. Whoa,
right.
that's teeny tiny. Okay, that's those faces are small. Okay,
Right.
so wow.
Xavier had failed those kids. I mean, he failed a lot of people. So
Yeah, right.
So that's nothing new. And I feel like we'll get into it. We'll get into an article about that later on too. I think or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this like I recognize like a few here and there, and maybe it's just because of the artist's interpretation. And maybe I'm just not all that familiar with all of Iron Man's villains. But yeah, his rogues gallery is pretty shallow.
Right.
I'm going to presume I see the guardsman and then the Mandarin.
Yes.
That's who I would associate with being like part of his villains gallery. I think that's the original Ironmonger on the left, next to
like,
Gorilla character.
right. Isn't it the Mark II armor head? Like like 34th row down or something. To the
No, that's Iron Man 2020.
2020. Oh, that's Arno. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's Arno. Yeah, that's Spy Master. A couple heads over from that. See, look, it's tough. Like, I think part of it is like the artist rendition, but also part of it is, his rogues gallery is just not that deep. Because if you asked me, coming into Iron Man 2008, the original movie, and you asked me like who the villain was going to be, my guess would have been either the Mandarin or the Ironmonger, right? And I was right.
Right. You know what? Von Gloom brings up a good point. Is the white-haired dude with the Wolverine hair the Collector? You know what? That's probably more right than what I was thinking, honestly.
That's probably right.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would show up on this, but that's probably right.
Well, I mean, the Collector has shown up in the book
in Iron Man books.
It was like real early on, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
I guess I'm gonna have to do some research. Go to the Marvel Unlimited,
right? But anyway, I just wanted to call this out because it was like that's a lot of liberties taken. I think actually probably not, because like I said, a lot of these folks are probably like one-offs or two-offs from back in the 80s and 70s.
Yeah, I know the Ghost. I see the Force armor is right underneath Arno. The Ghost is right there next to the Force armor from the 80s, right? And yeah, I mean, it's just hard to recognize a lot of these characters. Obviously, that's Fin Fang Foom,
right?
On the top. Yeah, it's just hard to recognize. But I chalk that up to a little bit to the artist's interpretation, but also, again, like I said, the other factor is that his rogues gallery is not that deep.
Right.
Pretty obscure.
Right. So anyway, that being the case, we're going to move on because I know we spent a little too much on that. But
because you know what, we always have fun with those types of things. Like, can you figure out who that character is? Like that GI Joe, like the GI Joe cover from the final issue of the previous run.
Right. Von Gloom says that I think the original Black Knight and Dread Knight are there probably. Yeah, are there as well. Apparently
they're there.
Right. He apparently he fought a bishop and a pope based on the dudes with the red and blue funny hats.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I said, when I pulled that cover in the first place, I'm like, yeah, this is got to bring this up. That being said, though, we are going to push over into rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire review time.
I ain't got time to bleed.
You're going to do your stuff from last week first.
Right. I've just got one book that I want to cover in rapid fire from last week, and that it's appropriate because last week the final issue of Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's run on Nightwing came out. Nightwing number 118, written by Tom Taylor with art by Bruno Redondo, inks by Caio Felipe, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Wes Abbott. Tom Taylor basically wraps up a lot of his outstanding dangling plot lines in this issue, leaves Nightwing in a great place for the next writer to pick up, leaves Bloodhaven in a place that the next writer can definitely easily pick up. The Heartless storyline ends pretty appropriately, and I'm going to miss this run. It was always kind of a fun book to read, and I know that the new run started this week, and I did not have a chance to read it, but I'm going to try to look at it and give it a chance. So that's last week's Nightwing number 118.
And before we move on, I'm showing that variant cover.
Yes, and that's a teaser for what I'm going to talk about in my New York Comic Con recap.
Indeed. And to answer Von Gloom's question, yes, we are going to get into that. In fact, probably right now, as Agent 70 gets into this week's books.
Right. So this week's books, my first rapid fire book for this week is Absolute Wonder Woman #1. It's written by Kelly Thompson with art by Hayden Sherman, colors by Jordi Belair, and letters by Becca Carey. So this is the second absolute Wonder Woman book, absolute DC book that is, and this is the second absolute book. I was telling Roddykat earlier that I think it was a good idea for DC to start with Absolute Batman, which I really liked. Absolute Wonder Woman was good. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this, but I really enjoyed the remix, the choices that Kelly Thompson made, and the paths that she's taken to reimagine this version of Wonder Woman in a very different image, in a very different reality. And it was it took some getting used to a particular idea that that one group may or may not basically exist other than that basically the premise is that Diana is the last of the Amazons, right, in this reality. So once you realize that Themyscira is really not going to play a role, or at least may not right away, then you have to look at what Kelly Thompson is creating as a base for Diana, and it's pretty interesting. I do have to give a shout out to Hayden Sherman because the art on this is pretty good. So it's I think it's worth reading at least the first arc to see where they take this Absolute Wonder Woman.
Right,
so
before you go
go
to
ahead.
the next one, before you go to that one, I want to bring up something in the chat. But go ahead and finish what you're saying.
Shoot. No, that's it. I'm done.
Okay. Von Gloom says, "Wonder if Taylor listened to Kanye's Heartless when he wrote the last story." Talking about Nightwing.
Right.
He says his favorite scene on I'm about to do it again. I told folks last week we're going to do this. Absolute Wonder Woman. His favorite scene was baby Diana scolding the lizard that breathed fire in her face.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, based on who raised Diana, she's going to be a formidable magic user. Which David, I think her things have been more magic based. Well, since the get, pretty much, but more so in later years. So that would make sense. I'm looking forward to checking this out because I like Kelly Thompson's work stuff on Birds of Prey. So, but like I said, I hadn't gotten to any of the absolute stuff. So just hadn't really, I get around to it when I get around to it. Anyway,
Right.
Next up for Agent 70.
Next up is X Factor #3. It's written by Mark Russell with art by Bob Quinn, colors by Jesus Aburtov, and letters again by our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. This X Factor book is definitely it's an acquired taste, right? It's an acquired taste because we know it's obvious that the people behind this version of X Factor have an ulterior motive, and they're not in it for the public good. They're not in it for, and it's very much a twist on the original premise for the original premises for the main X Factor runs. The first one being mutant hunters who were really looking to save mutants. The second one being a government-backed mutant team, super mutant team, right? This is like a semi-government backed mutant team that's kind of fighting mutant terrorists. That's that's where we are. This issue's fun because you get to explore one of the new characters, and you get to see what this character can really, how useful this character can really be. It's actually pretty fun. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to stick with this. I may just jump off like at the end of the first arc. And last but not least is X-Men #6. It's written by Jed MacKay with pencils by Netho Diaz, inks by Sean Parsons, colors by Marte Gracia and Fer Cifuentes Sujo, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. So X-Men #6 continues the story of Cyclops' team in Alaska in the former Sentinel base. And there are lots of twists and turns that happen in this issue. One of them specifically dealing with, I guess, the community. What's funny is that the community is become a part of this X-Men story, and specifically the community in Alaska that is neighboring the Sentinel factory that that the X-Men have taken control of. So there is plenty to see here, and we get a little bit more follow up into the revelation last issue that Cassandra Nova is behind this late stage mutant power activation, or late stage mutant power manifestation, given that most of the mutants we know manifest their powers on puberty. So these people, we don't know yet for sure whether or not these people had mutant power, were supposed to manifest powers at all, or if this is just something that is somehow delayed. And Cassandra Nova and this group, well, I think they're called 3K, whether or not they're behind something new to create new mutants. So we'll see how that goes. It's an interesting book.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to check it out this week, or the other book, Dazzler.
Right.
Or
Trust me, I didn't spoil what's really important.
Right. Actually, I did read Dazzler. That's a lie. But so yeah, hopefully, hopefully, Von Gloom, that answered your question on X Factor when he talked about that.
What was the question?
He was just asking how was X Factor.
How it was? It's an acquired taste.
So there's that. All right. So for myself, real quick, as I get down to my books, because I did read things. Void Rivals number 13. Agent 7, I think you were going to read this. I can't remember.
No, I'm so far behind on that. So
okay. Well, if you've seen the cover of the book, then hey, it already tells you who shows up. But it starts off. So I asked this question in my own notes, and I don't expect to see an answer. But basically, why didn't Cobra La get a book of its own during this whole thing?
Now you're gonna make me look at the cover.
Exactly. So yeah, so it starts off with a little bit of Cobra La, with Pythona having a very bad dream while she is on mission out in space, looking for the purveyors of Energon, but having
this is the main cover.
Yes.
Okay, take a look at that now.
But
okay.
Yeah. But she's not the only one that shows up in this, in that, but she's like the main one for that part of it. But it's only part of the story because like it kind of kicks and it's just basically checking up on her going out, out in space on, pretty much behind what's going on in with the other folks in the book. But she's, I guess, slowly catching up to, at the very least, one Cybertronian that is in this book so far, or Cybertronian adjacent folks. But anyway, so after we kind of check in on that, we kick to the main people of the book, where they're in their separate missions. So Lila is pretty much searching for this Zerta/Zerta-Trion figure that she was sent on mission to do, and Derek lent her his Handroid, so he doesn't have that, and she's so I guess she wouldn't be alone and would have some help. Derek and Springer, I guess Springer basically took Derek home because he ended up going home and getting into it with his dad, who apparently is well aware of things that Derek has gotten into, because he himself is aligned with the quote unquote opposing faction, to try to keep people separated in their beliefs. And the other part of this equation, which who is the I guess the prime minister of the Zertonians, kind of went to the person that that gave Solila her mission, and for whatever reason, and at the end there was a a good piece with with two characters who, two of the characters that I mentioned getting into a thing. We also have our Skirksoid friend who kind of is going through some feelings right now. You know that Skirksoid from Transformers season 3, that his got 5 mouths to feed kind of situation going on, but he's kind of going through some things. So they keep popping up on him every now and then. But it's a decent book. I'm keeping up with it because this is supposed to be really important to the overall Energon universe at large. And based on some of the things that have come up in this book, I can see it, especially with all of the factions kind of converging on Energon sources in one way or the other. Next up, sadly, we did not get a chance to read the Thundercats Chitara this week, even though that's a whole nother situation there. Got a lot of books. Got them late. The Hunger and the Dusk, Book 2, Number 3 is my next book, written by G. Willow Wilson. Actually, I didn't get the creative team for the first one. So Robert Kirkman did the writing on Void Rivals. Art is Lorenzo De Felici. Colors by Patricio Delpeche. I keep wanting to call him Depeche Mode. Yeah. And letters by Russ Wooten. That was Void Rivals. The Hunger and the Dusk, Book 2, Number 3 was written by G. Willow Wilson with art by Chris Wildgoose, colors by Mystique, layouts by Mark Lamming, and letters by Simon Boland. So Callum, the head of the Last Man Standing company, pretty much set off to look for Tara because he misses her and he loves her because she stormed off to go back home because, they had an argument, as someone said in this book, a lover's bat. So we catch up with Callum trying to find her, but also the Vangols, who are pretty much the factor who is pretty much after everybody. It's kind of still peeking around. The Last Man Standing company is kind of around, kind of holding down the fort and kind of making their way to someplace. But also they found out they're kind of almost getting beset by the Vangols. And Callum kind of comes across let's just say the truce between the orcs and the humans. Comes across that truce kind of breaking down even further because of things that are going on that in the world, but which realistically it was a tenuous truce in the first place. So that is what it is. And the Last Man Standing coming out of this kind of gets set on another mission that will probably put everybody back together because of a person that they find on their way to try to find Callum while they're still hurting and missing Tara because she was a great healer. Next book for me is Star Trek Defiant number 20. I'll get to that book later. Written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Angel Onzueta, colors by Marissa Louise, and letters by Clayton Cowles. So, this if you don't know what has been going on in the last couple of pages, last couple of issues of this book, Worf, Rolaren, and Belana Torres had kind of gone undercover, but they got basically used, and a whole a whole situation was going on with the Romulan High Command. Thanks to Seela's dad, who was pretty much the one who spurred this whole thing. But there's this whole planet that the Romulans want, and Worf and crew are trying to defend it from them, and all in service of trying to get Spock back, who had gotten taken. And there's a whole thing with Spock and Seela at the end of this, which is still in play. So yeah, it's a whole lot going on with this. But and of course Miles O'Brien and Julian Bashir kind of show up to do a classic Star Trek hey, we're coming to the rescue type situation in part of this, and things are coming together for all of that. Next up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Did I not get that book? I did not. All right, well, great. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh no, here it is. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures continued, number 18. Story by Eric Burnham, art by Sarah Myers, letters by Ed Dukeshire, and colors by Luis Antonio Delgado. So this is a continuation of last issue where Raphael and Mona Lisa went to go see what was going on. Well, Mona Lisa asked the Turtles / Raph for help with some museum thing that was going on, and they ended up meeting an ally who they first thought was a bad guy, and ended up meeting the bad guy, but they also ended up needing help, and the Turtles finally come home to find out the situation, and they go to help, and the whole thing gets kind of situated by the end of this book. But it was 80s Turtles adventures in at its finest, and with a little bit of fourth wall breaking to boot. Next up, speaking of, and I know Agent 70 is going to read this, so I won't say too much about this one, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new ongoing number 3, with written by, script by Jason Aaron, art by Cliff Chiang, letters by Sean Lee. So this is Leo's book. Leo's turn at the book, because if you know anything about this first arc, each of the Turtle brothers have had their own solo issue dealing with what they were dealing with, of which we still don't know the catalyst of them breaking up and splitting apart, but I guess we were starting to get shades of that. But this was a Leo focused book and what he got into, but never you worry, because the stuff that's been going on in the last couple of issues, especially the last issue with Mikey, Raph, and and everything else that's been building up in this book, is still well in play. So it was an interesting read as to what, and not surprising as to what Leo got into on his in his book. Let's see, do I have another one? Yes, one last book for me is the one I skimmed through while getting ready for the show. Dazzler number 2 of 4, written by Jason Liu, art by Rafael Luerio, color artist Hava Tartaglia, that's a typo, and letters by VC's Ariana Maher. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil this one for Agent 70 because I know he's going to check this one out also. But it just continues on from last issue. The only thing I will say is that Dazzler's on the talk show circuit for her tour, and of course things happen. One small spoiler: there's another Fred, and someone shows up at the end of this book, and that's that. For all of that, and I believe that is all of my books for me. Kliqs of the week.
All righty, Kliqs of the week.
So I know I did. So last week when I did the show solo, I forgot to actually name my Kliq of the week.
Oh man!
But no, it works out, because that way we can kind of get all of that out of the way here now. So. Which I did actually call one, and it was Ultimate Spider-Man 10.
Nice.
Which was my last week's book.
Nice. I like that book a lot. I really did like the Spectacular Spider-Man number 8 book a lot, but I'm going to go with Nightwing number 118 as my Kliq of the week for last week.
Okay, gotcha. So there's mine for that last week, and there is Agent 70 for. I think I did talk about Mystique last week. You didn't get a chance to read that, did you?
I did not. Okay. And it's one of my least favorite X characters, along with Destiny, her wife.
Yeah, I know, but you might want to check it out. I'm not going to say whether you're going to like it or not, but just kind of give it a shot, just out of curiosity.
I'm sure there's a lot of Destiny in there, and I'm just going to get annoyed.
I will go ahead and spoil that and say no. You would be wrong.
Really?
Yes, really.
Wow. Okay. All right, I'll take a look. And I'm surprised. Wait, so So this week's issue of Turtles, the 2024
Mhm.
series, is that
Mhm.
number 3?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The
So
next
it
one's gonna be
doesn't.
Donnie.
So right. So it doesn't necessarily. I was just looking at it. It doesn't like continue what happened in issue number 2.
Yes,
It does not.
it does.
It
It falls in, but like I said, it's largely a Leo story, but some of that
Oh,
stuff
I see
falls
it
in
at the end. I see it. I
Yes.
see it. I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have to read it. So
Right.
I was just kind of confused because you're like it's a Leo centric book, and I'm like, but there's like actually like something from the previous issue that they need to pick up on. So
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, yeah.
okay, all right. So they do continue it. All right, good, good, good. I've got to get to that. Just didn't have a chance this week.
Right. Von Gloom says the only Destiny Agent 70 cares about is Destiny's Child. I don't even know if we could say that one, but I'm not sure if we could say that.
I have hated. Listen, I have hated the Destiny character ever since Fall of the Mutants. Hated it. Hated the character.
Boy.
Hate the character. Anyway,
funny stuff. All right, so this week's Kliqs of the week. What you got?
I actually did like Absolute Wonder Woman #1, but I'm going to go with Avengers #19 because I feel like that was a nice intro into the upcoming Doom event.
Yeah. I did say my Kliqs. Like Avengers definitely is up there. What was that said? Anyway, oh, Gatchaman. That was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That Iron Man book was all right. I'm curious to see how things play out there.
Sure.
The Turtles book was okay, for what it was. Hunger to Dust is always going to be good, but it's not, yeah. But yeah, I think I'm actually going to go with Agent 70 on this one and say Avengers #19 is my
nice. Nice.
And with that, we are going to go into the news section, but first, an ad read, which I forgot to ask Agent 70 about prior to the show.
All right. Our first ad read of the night is for Blue Apron's meal delivery service. Blue Apron, fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always ship free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
About this time, and surprisingly, a lot of Tom Holland news, and one that I didn't put in for this week, but it will be short next week. But actually, I'm going to do the first two together since they are related. Tom Holland read Spider-Man 4 script with Zendaya and says, quote, "It's excellent, but needs work. Fitting a sequel into the MCU timeline is a challenge we're facing." So that was the first article. But also, the second article is, hey, guess what, folks? Spider-Man 4 has been confirmed at Marvel Studios, and Tom Holland is to begin filming in 2025. Apparently, Tom Holland was on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and confirmed that there is a sequel to No Way Home, and saying plainly, according to this article, it's happening, quote unquote. Next summer we start shooting. Everything's a go. We're nearly there. It's super exciting. I can't wait. So there you go.
I was about to say, did the Marvel snipers have a stand down order at that point? Or they let him be the first person to say that they're about to start shooting in 2025?
I mean, he could probably say that much, but it's a matter of anything he says about plot, the way he's had a problem.
Right. I'm just saying. They must have had the stand down order. Like, let him talk.
Well, the next one that you're about to do, that would be the one in question, which would be...
Oh my God! I didn't even know this. So that's so funny. Tom Holland was one of the first to know about Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom casting, but says it was a tough secret to sit on because he has a quote reputation for ruining things, unquote. Oh my goodness. That's so funny.
Now talk about the snipers being
Right.
wrong.
So exactly. So I think he's already felt the snipers trained on him because he was on the Rich Roll podcast and he talked about speaking to Robert Downey Jr. a lot, especially about him making his Marvel return, which is super exciting. Holland added that was a tough secret to sit on because I have a reputation for ruining things. Strategically, I have done no press. Love it.
I mean, guess that's one way to handle the situation.
That's so funny.
So
That is so funny. Oh my god.
but yeah. Next up, though, Disney pulls Marvel's Troubled Blade movie out of 2025. This comes to us by way of Deadline through IGN, which is this article from. Disney will instead launch 20th Century Studios' Predator Badlands on November 7th, 2025, which was Blade's prior release date. According to this article, as a part of Disney's release calendar update, 3 untitled Marvel movies have release dates: February 18th, 2028, March 5th, 2028, and November 10th, 2028. The delay the break comes to little surprise given the behind-the-scenes drama it has suffered, according to this article, and it goes into some of that in the article. So, yikes. I saw somebody on Twitter basically was like they had the MCU stain and the underling caption talking about they did this whole thing in the 90s with Steven Dorff. like it was Stain shouting at the dude in a cave, you know.
With a bunch of scraps.
Exactly. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. That was pretty good though. Next up though.
Oh my goodness. All right. So Marvel's Daredevil Born Again has set its premiere date on Disney Plus. Marvel's Daredevil Born Again is coming to Disney Plus on March 4th, 2025. The launch of the Hell's Kitchen based crime series was announced at New York Comic Con at Javits on October 19th, when stars Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio surprised attendees with an appearance during the Marvel Fanfare panel with C.B. Cebulski. So the panel also featured series producer and Marvel Studios production development executive Sana Amanat, who I actually ran into on the floor of the show floor, in conversation with Marvel editor-in-chief C.B. Cebulski.
Yeah, because she kind of has been a little behind the scenes, or a little bit more behind the scenes.
Oh no, yeah, because she's moving up in the world,
right? So, Stephen King's The Running Man remake adds 3rd MCU star, according to this article. Lee Pace, who played Ronan the Accuser in Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, is going to be in that Running Man remake, which didn't need to happen, and apparently that's Edgar Wright's planned reboot of The Running Man. So I guess he's gonna Scott Pilgrim, The Running Man. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. So yeah, there you go. That's a thing that's happening.
Sharon Stone's character.
So what?
Who's playing Sharon Stone's character?
So, Wright recently cast Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania star Katie O'Brien for the film. And also Josh Brolin is going to be the top villain, or opposite lead star Glenn Powell. No word on who's playing Sharon Stone's character. I suspect I'm trying to remember the lady's name because I remember the short-haired lady from the original Running Man, but and actually maybe I'm thinking about different. No, I'm not. I might have been thinking of Total Recall with who I'm thinking of, but regardless, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that needs to be, but here we are, folks. Next up,
Alrighty. Give me a second. I had to open that story just to see. Super / man. The Christopher Reeve story gets a digital streaming date. This is a documentary about the life and career of Christopher Reeve, and it is. All right, so it was initially shown in theaters. I'm scrolling, looking for the
Yeah, it was a
streaming.
2-night thing. So it was only in theaters for 2 nights.
Right. So it's going to debut on digital streaming via premium video on demand on Friday, November 1st. So that's pay-per-view. You can pre-order it for $14.99, which is the film's purchase price. Digital rentals are generally $5 less. So viewers should expect to rent the film for $9.99 for a 48-hour period. So if you really are, gunning to see it, you can rent it for a time or buy it to own.
Yeah, whenever or a couple of weeks later when that happens.
Right.
Actually, that's the soundbite we need.
Maybe we'll think about it.
I mean, hey, Absolute Superman's coming up next week. That's all I'm saying. Star Trek Section 31 movie starring Michelle Yeoh gets premiere date on Paramount Plus, or Plus, as Agent 70 would say. And the date is January 24th, 2025. So the announcement was made during New York Comic Con on Saturday. Michelle Yeoh made a video appearance during a panel there, which featured cast members, a bunch of the cast members, along with executive producer and director Olatunde Asanami. So yeah, these sections of the one will wait. No, that's right. Yeah, Friday, January the 21st in the U.S. and international markets. Next up,
just as a quick aside,
what's that?
there are entire sections or entire portions of New York Comic Con that I just never get around to experiencing or touching upon. A lot of it is related to Star Trek because I'm just not into the whole Paramount Plus era of Star Trek, and there are panels and events and things being sold at booths that I just sort of bypass. And this year, just as a quick aside regarding my experience at New York Comic Con, more on that next week. I didn't attend a single panel this year, and then that's obviously something that changes. It's obviously year to year, basically for me. But I know for a fact that there's always stuff there for Star Trek people.
Mm-hmm.
Always something there for Star Trek people. All right, next up, Lower Decks' Tawny Newsome addresses her new live-action Star Trek series. So this is so Star Trek Lower Decks, the animated comedy series on Paramount Plus, is set to air its final season on October 24th, so it's already started. But that may not be the end of the stories in that era of Trek per cinema blend. Tawny Newsome, who voices Ensign, now Lieutenant Beckett Mariner on the show, said the stories set in the 25th century will continue on the live-action Star Trek comedy series she is developing with Justin Simeon. Newsome is also working as a writer on the new Star Trek Starfleet Academy series, which is in production. Okay.
Yes, I didn't get a chance to watch because it was a 2-episode premiere from yesterday of Lower Decks because I forgot to, believe it or not, re-up on Paramount Plus after so many times of just having it there. So I will check back in on that once I take care of that for probably a month. Speaking of Star Trek Starfleet Academy, it has been renewed for season 2, and Tatiana Maslany is going to guest star in season 1. That's right, She-Hulk is going to be in Starfleet. The announcement was made as a part of the Star Trek Universe panel at New York Comic Con on Saturday, which probably the same panel as that Section 31 thing. It was also announced at the panel that Orphan Black. Basically it was. That's where it was announced that Tatiana Maslany is going to appear in a guest star role. The exact details of the character she will be playing are kept under wraps. Robert Ricardo, the doctor, some of y'all might know, also made a surprise appearance at the panel to introduce a live stream from the set of season 1, along with the co-showrunner Alex Kurtzman. And that's where the season 2 announcement was given. Like I said, next up.
1 second, folks. LeVar Burton has been awarded with the National Humanities Medal at a White House ceremony. So Burton was one of several recipients being honored at the White House by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Let me open up this article. So this was this past Monday.
Mm-hmm.
President Biden hosted the presentation of the 2022 and 2023 National Humanities Medals. Okay. And LeVar Burton was a recipient. Congratulations.
Yeah, so there was a picture of him and his wife and with the vice president, and I believe.
Oh, look at this. So a total of 19 distinguished medal recipients were honored at the ceremony. This included director Steven Spielberg and Spike Lee, actress and singer Queen Latifah, screenwriter Aaron Sorkin. Oh, West Wing reference.
There you go.
Historian John Meacham and chef and author Anthony Bourdain awarded posthumously.
Right. So there you go. There is that. Good stuff. Next up, I should probably have you read this one. I don't know why, but Karate Kid Legends.
Why do I have to read this one?
I don't know, because I don't want it. But Karate Kid Legends first footage. Actually, no, it's good that you're getting the next one, because now that I think about it. Anyway, Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio train new student and kick some ass, according to this article, at New York Comic Con. So apparently, the Sony showed the first trailer for the new Karate Kid movie, which is called Karate Kid Legends. The movie is going to be releasing in theaters on May 30th. I'm presuming of next year, obviously, and it's going to cross the streams of the Karate Kid universes. So
gosh.
So that's me saying that, not the article. I never did watch the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith, the Karate Kid. Matter of fact,
I've seen bits of it. Like, flipping channels, back when people did that. Right. I still do that to a certain extent.
I wonder if Hilary Swank's gonna show up in this one.
Oh no!
Because didn't she do that one in the middle of both of them, like the next Karate Kid or something?
I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, there's that, folks. That's that. Next up.
All right, Ke Huy Quan is a different kind of action star in exclusive Love Hurts first look. A badass doesn't have to look like a badass. Okay. So previously titled With Love, the action film starring the Academy Award winner in his first leading role punches its way into theaters on February 7th, 2025. Okay.
So two things. I was gonna watch the trailer for this because it is out there, but also if you're watching the video version, you can see a still that Entertainment got with one Marshawn Lynch and Ke Huy Quan going at it.
That's so funny.
Or at the very least, it looks like Marshawn Lynch is about to take a punch at Ke Huy Quan. So yeah, I need to check out that trailer, see what's going on. Next,
wait. So Ariana DeBose is one of the leads in this. So you get Marshawn Lynch, and Sean Astin is also in this. So you get a little bit of a Goonies reunion.
Yep,
that's wild.
Oh yeah, so I guess you should say a little bit about what the plot is.
No, just go take a look at the trailer.
Well, no, I mean, this is not giving away a whole lot. It's basically he's playing a real estate agent in Milwaukee suburbs, and then things ensue when, he gets thrust back into a world of hitmen thanks to his brother.
Love it.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I said, I hadn't had a chance to watch the trailer yet, but I'm like, you know what? I'll go watch it. I will go watch it. Next up,
Funny.
though,
Listen, something fun, something actiony with Ke Huy Quan. I'm probably gonna ask to watch this in the theaters.
Right,
I'm gonna
exactly.
hit up my movie going friends and be like, "Hey, anyone want to go watch this?"
Realistically, this look like a late era. I mean, that sounds like a late era Jackie Chan movie. Which
Kinda,
realistically,
yeah.
because premise sounds very distinctly like one. Anyway, Fallout Season 2 filming start month confirmed by returning star. That would be one Leslie Uggam, who of course you may already know from the Deadpool movies, as well as if you're old enough back in the 70s, her singing career. But the show will officially begin filming in November. And it goes into who Uggams is playing. And it seems like that might be the only word that we have about the next season of that show, which I know people liked. Next up.
Okay, I had to do a double take on this story just now.
I know.
Godzilla -1 is returning to theaters with all new footage. Right, so check this out. So AMC's updated its listings online, and apparently fans noticed the return of Godzilla -1. So the listing confirms the movie will return to AMC theaters later this year for Godzilla's 70th anniversary. The movie will screen for a limited time, and it will come complete with 10 plus minutes of exclusive content that we're probably not going to get on the Blu-ray.
That's probably true. Yes, that is
Come
probably
on.
Or there's going to be another version. Now, the best case scenario would be is if they did a limited edition version like the Japanese one, and they have all of that stuff with this 10 minutes of footage at some point down the line. That's best case scenario. Whether that's going to actually happen or not, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd be happy to watch it again in the theater because that was a great theater experience.
Right.
So, I'm just kind of annoyed.
Yeah.
Because I ordered the Blu-ray too.
I was gonna ask you, yeah, did you get that that limited edition set?
I did. It hasn't come in yet, but I did order it.
Yeah, I hadn't ordered mine yet, but I'm probably gonna already just do it because I don't hold out hope for that best case scenario if we're being honest, but it could very well happen.
Yeah.
And you can't flip DVDs like you used to. I mean, you can, but not as easily.
You can, especially if it's a collector thing. So
right. Netflix actually, yeah, we'll get into Anime Corner. Excuse me.
Okay, Anime Corner. Let's find something good. Actually, you know what? In honor of Attack on Titan the musical, which they did not sing at the musical.
Oh, this is a missed opportunity. But folks, according to this article, it's that time of year again. It's spoopy season. I'm saying that, not them. The autumn leaves are coming. Blah 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 blah. Netflix is basically this article is highlighting stuff coming to Netflix that is.
It's getting late, folks.
Yeah, no, that is horror related. So take that for what it is. Apparently, which, yeah, this doesn't sound horror. Okay, Gundam Requiem for Vengeance is the first off of this list. It's the latest Gundam anime that looks to take viewers back to the original timeline of the franchise. According to this article, it was not billed as a horror series, but it is one according to the people who wrote this thing.
Really?
Yeah, I guess. I haven't seen this one, so I don't know. And it goes into that. Also, we have that Juji Ito's Uzumaki. That this article brings up, and this article is also bringing up the fact that might not be living up to the hype that that show had been getting, based on the source material. So, and that is, well, they talk about some of the problems that Adult Swim has been having. So there is that. And those are the only two things that show up here. So yeah. I guess mainly it was about that Gundam thing, and it just happened to drop the Uzumaki thing as a side. Next up,
Okay, LAZARUS Anime reveals a 2025 premiere trailer, visual, main cast, main voice cast members. Um, so LAZARUS, the upcoming original anime directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, will begin broadcasting and streaming in 2025. The news was announced during a panel discussion at New York Comic Con. In the United States, the 13-episode series will air on Adult Swim's Toonami block. Okay.
I watched the trailer that I'm pretty sure is attached to this thing, and it looks as good as you think a show done by Shinichiro Watanabe would look and sound. So not surprising at all. But yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to, and I think it is going to be on Adult Swim, so folks can check it out when it drops. Next up, Crunchyroll's new mech anime is the perfect comedic next watch for Neon Genesis Evangelion fans, according to this Screen Rant article. In Mecha Ude, sentient mechanic arms are the main conflict of the story, which can be compared to Evangelion's humanoid Evas. But unlike Evangelion, which is deep and depressing in its dive into the human psyche, I think that's probably being kind of nice. Mecha Ude uses comedy to tone down the darkness of its ethical questions. The characters of Mecha Ude or Ude are in a world where sentient technology bonds with humans much like pets, which give viewers lighthearted moments that Evangelion fans of the best mech anime, according to Screen Rant, will appreciate as refreshing and calming. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that, but Evangelion is what it is. I think I did also watch the trailer for this one, and it is kind of amusing. So, yeah, we'll see. Next up,
All righty. So this is this article from comicbook.com is titled Dragon Ball is finally going to make Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan important again. So this is a bit of an opinion piece, but it's also an analysis of where we are in the timeline with Dragon Ball Daima, right? So I wasn't 100% sure on this because of where I jumped on this because I obviously binged this during the pandemic, right?
mm-hmm.
So I kind of like this. I mentioned this go to somebody else. Goku and Vegeta are getting nerfed in Dragon Ball Daima because the premiere revealed that a new set of characters are seeing the events of the Majin Buu arc play out and then move into action as a result of it. This confirms the series' new place in the overall Dragon Ball timeline before Beerus and Whis' arrival during the Battle of Gods arc.
Nice.
So all that stuff that happened during Dragon Ball Super basically hasn't happened yet.
Right. So have you watched any part of Daima?
I have. I'm up to
have?
date. I watched the first 2 episodes.
For Daima? Okay. Yeah, I need to get on that. But then again, I also need to finish Super, so that's a whole nother situation. But I feel like I can watch Daima and not have to worry about that.
Right.
But yeah, I've heard decent things about Daima so far, so I'm like, okay,
it's
check
fun.
it out. Yeah,
it's fun. You know what? It was just it's a fun story so far. It's only 2 episodes in, but it's fun. Right. It does help me that I have the context of everything that's happened since in Super. So
right. Also, hopefully, or also probably won't have to worry about rolling into GT territory because
right.
Yeah. We're going to go into the manga corner with Scholastic reveals 2 exciting new mangas for fans of all ages that fans of all Englishes should pay attention to. Or again, according to Screen Rant. Let's see. There's new titles like Hikaru and the Light and Mecha Ude, Mechanical Arms with the aforementioned show. Let's see. The 2 manga come hot off the success of Scholastic's Osamu Tezuka's adaptation Unico, providing that acclaimed publisher of books for all ages is investing more and more in manga, with titles as diverse as Unico, Hikaru, and Mecha Ude. Scholastic is clearly signaling a commitment to manga that should impress readers of all ages, again, according to the Spring Rant article. Next up.
IDW reveals a new logo marking its next era. So IDW Publishing has revealed a new logo inspired by the company's prestigious history. The new logo embraces its next era as it looks to the next 25 years of entertainment. Okay, IDW's director of design, Nathan Whittick, crafted the logo. Okay, so it's a start of a rebrand for IDW.
Okay, 2 questions. 1 question: did you see this at New York?
I did not.
Okay. Okay, so that is therein lies my question in my question. But I mean, it just, I think it just happened. So I guess I don't know if they had a chance to roll it out there or fully roll it out there. But regardless, I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. Like it's not that big of a deal. It's a logo rebrand. It happens before. But it just looks like a big U and a D. I get it, and also looks like something.
Yeah,
out
I
of
don't
Gatchaman.
necessarily see the W until you see the slash.
Exactly, and also looks like something out of Gatchaman. Which that might be the plus, but
I get that too.
Yeah. Anyway, that's that. So it's a thing. It's a thing. You know what? I forgot to ask about if any of our wrestling people, did they read that AEW book that DC put out? But anyway, comic book news continues with Nightwing officially steps down as Titans leader, nominating spoiler as his replacement. And this is spoilers for Titans number 16.
Is that last week?
That might be the case, I think. Yeah. So, I don't know. Were you still reading Titans or no?
I'd come off it
after that Beast War thing or before that Beast War thing.
Yeah, around the Beast War thing.
Yeah. But basically, Donna Troy seems like is going to be the new leader.
Right. What I was going to say is, it looks like it's a new creative team also.
Yes, I believe that's true. Because I don't remember who the creative team was.
Yeah, because it looks like in Titans number 16, according to the article, Tom Taylor, Lucas Meyer, and Adriano Lucas have officially handed over the reins to John Layman and Pete Woods. And with this creative team change, along with DC's All-In initiative, the Titans have seen some major transformations. Listen, I love Donna Troy. She's one of my favorite characters. I'm happy to see her take the lead.
Right, which I think she was kind of like co-lead in the first place. I mean, during
almost since Jump. Almost since Jump, she's always been like one of the leaders of the team. Right.
So, and actually, I was like, damn, Tom Taylor's just going away from Nightwing altogether.
Yeah, right.
Just taking it all off. Okay. But anyway, next up. Also, well, I guess I should go ahead and take this anyway because it's still spoilers for Titan 16. DC confirms an iconic Titans hero has lost the Justice League's respect and trust.
Really?
I again, Screen Rant article.
Hold on. Wait. So is this mine or is this yours?
I just went ahead and took it because it was still related to.
All right, go ahead. Yeah, because it's still spoilers for Titans number 16.
Right. So apparently, okay, I guess it's Beast Boy that I guess given a whole Beast War thing. So it's Beast War. I mean, it's Beast Boy that the Justice League doesn't really trust so much. Whether that makes any difference in the long run, who cares? Next up, though.
Oh, I see. Tense confrontation with Renee Montoya. Oh, okay. Okay. I gotcha. All right. I guess I'm gonna just circle back to that book because it does say that because of the All-In.
Right.
Stuff.
It does mention that stuff. Yeah.
All right. DC confirms Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on Batman ongoing comic for Hush 2. Oh my god. So at the beginning of the month, hold on. This is Bleeding Cool. So announcing Hush 2. Let's see. I saw the art and I'm like, okay. Let's see. Let's see.
I'll probably put the solicitations.
Is there solicitation?
I mean, so solicitations came out for a lot of places last week, but I think Marvel just came out this week.
Right.
Or today, excuse me.
Right. I'm just looking at this because you know what? At the end of the day, the way this article is written, it's not. Let's see here.
It's bleeding cool, being bleeding cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. But I couldn't find too many
Right.
other articles that had.
Right. It's in store, right? So there's going to be a prelude for Hush 2 coming in Justice League Unlimited #1 in stores November 27th. So they haven't solicited the actual series yet, but at the end of the day, you're going to get a little bit of a prelude for it in Justice League Unlimited #1 in stores November 27th.
Yeah. Oh, I missed this. I missed this from Von Gloom from when we were talking about Daima. Goku should have used Nimbus, which I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So apparently, wait. So just to clarify, the Batman Hush team of Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb are returning to the ongoing Batman book next year, sometime in March or April of 2025.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So apparently, schedules are still changing because they just want to make sure that Jim Lee gets the books in on time. Sure. So they got to get some books in the books in the can for a while.
Right. Wait, do I? I think I do have that about that. I hope I do anyway. No, I talked about something last week. J. Michael Straczynski's basically bringing back a version of Marvel 2-in-1.
Okay.
And I only mentioned that was because you just reminded me. It's like, yeah, that sounds like that thing's been in the can for like a year already, and it's just got announced. So it was like, but it sounds fun. You had to go and check it out. But it was like, yeah, it just kind of reminded me. It's like they do stuff like that, but in this case, it's slightly different because because of art issues. But anyway, not issues, but art situation.
Mm-mm.
The absolute Batmobile is officially revealed and is bigger than the DC's new Batman. Than DC's new Batman, of course. Screen Rant article. I don't know why I keep doing this to myself, but there are nuggets of information that comes out of this. Is why. So DC Comics unveiled the new Batmobile in DC's Absolute All-In Universes panel at New York Comic Con. With this reveal, Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta's Absolute Batman continue to reinvent core parts of Batman's mythos in exciting and unexpected ways, according to this article. So what's that?
Hold on. So they revealed the Absolute Batmobile? My God.
It looks like a big dump truck, according to this, from what this looks like.
Oh my goodness.
So with this reveal,
oh my gosh.
Oh wait, here we go. In official art by Dragotta, Batman's ride is bigger than it's ever been, just as Bruce's self is. Take a look below. If you're watching the video version, you can see the thing, the art in question. Yeah, go back to the Tumblr.
Yeah, I was about to say, you're not going to be very secretive in that thing, dude.
No, not
I guess
at all.
that's not the point in the Absolute universe.
Yeah, I guess not. Also, wait, if he's supposed to be broke, where do you get the money for?
Look,
I'm just saying
he's still smart in the book. That's the
okay.
thing.
Smart, yeah, okay, sure. Smart is one thing. Flipping enough to get enough money to get that to put together when you ain't got the money already is a whole different situation.
All right, next up, DC is reviving the dormant Vertigo imprint. This was announced at New York Comic Con, and let's see here. They announced some new books. So it's beginning with James Tinian's The Nice House by the Sea, #4 on October 30th. The Vertigo prints of issues #1 to 3 will be released for fans who want a consistent collection with the logo on it.
I mean,
the label will once again focus on standalone genre comics and creator-owned titles.
Yeah. Also, there is another article in the clickbait section if you are, if folks are so interested, that Polygon has given some reason as to why, as to why the Vertigo imprint has come back, or reasonings that could possibly be behind such thing. But yeah, you can check that out at your leisure. Von Gloom says the Batmobile looks like an RV on steroids. He has an Only Bats account. Stop.
Oh my God. Just for that one.
a lot of lonely, wealthy women like beefcakes. I mean, yeah, I guess you're right, but only bats.
But you haven't read the Absolute Batman yet,
Not
right?
yet. Not yet. Not
You should.
yet.
You should.
Yeah, I will. Like I said, I get to it. Like I said, I don't know if I'm get to it by next week when Absolute Superman or Ultimate Superman, whatever. I don't care. It's weird.
Mhm.
But regardless, I'm gonna try to get up on that stuff. There's a lot to kind of catch up with. But next up, is that you or me? That's
No, that's you. Star Wars Jedi
yeah.
Knights.
You say it's yours either way, even if it wasn't. Star Wars Jedi Knight series to feature Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, Yoda, and more. So this is a new series that Marvel has announced. It's a new ongoing series. It's going to debut in March 2025. According to this article, it's the first series that's going to that featured all of those knights as a part of the cast. And apparently, new Jedi will be also introduced to readers. It's being written by Mark Guggenheim with art by Madabek Muzabekov. Let's see. It also joins the upcoming one-shot Star Wars: A New Legacy, which I think I talked about last week, as new Marvel new titles releasing in the new year. But it does say, as we've been kind of wondering, Marvel is moving forward with telling new stories set between the events of Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, which we've talked about because of that Battle of Jakku thing that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. So yeah, some art for Jedi. Next up.
All righty. X-Men editor Tom Brevoort denies the Wolverine Cyclops Jean Grey polyamory relationship, but this is a Screen Rant title. We know what we saw. So he's posted in his Substack. Brevoort responded to a fan question about whether or not that relationship is going to continue. He rejected the idea that there was even anything of merit to the idea in the first place. He's doing a very lawyer thing by saying there was nothing in the text or nothing in the comic that came out and said it, but we all saw that it was heavily implied.
Absolutely.
So he's right. He's right. Right. But at the end of the day, it's, I think it's a whole lot of nothing because a lot of people are reading into it. And obviously there's some subtext behind it, but he's right in the sense that there's nothing officially said.
Hey, boo!
But that's like I can see his point in that he can come out and say, yeah, there's nothing concrete behind people saying that.
Right. According to this, like you said, would have been left behind with the Krakoan era if
Right.
it was something. So yeah, whatever, man. It's there. It's there. I don't care what you say. Marvel turns Wolverine into the Winter Soldier in new Ultimate Universe story. So Marvel Comics has announced the new Ultimate Wolverine comic series this week at New York Comic Con. The series will make its debut in January of next year. It is written by rising star, I guess, Chris Condon of Venom War Daredevil fame, and drawn by Alessandro Cappuccio of Moon Knight. Ultimate Wolverine stays true to the character's origin as a government weapon. The Ultimate Wolverine is an unwilling agent of the Maker, the former leader of, well, you know who the Maker is, and you gotta go through that. Apparently it says here that he's mind wiped and used as an assassin, and he's still the best at his job, even if he's no longer in control of who he's targeting, according to this article. So yeah, January 15th is when Ultimate Wolverine goes on sale. And I thought Von Gloom had said something on Twitter/X about Ultimate Wolverine, but I can't remember what he said. If he's still in the chat, you can refresh memory. But next up.
All right, spoiler alert. Rogue's new power is a fascinating way to evolve her iconic mutant abilities. I kind of remember this. This is what Roddykat was alluding to when he mentioned something to me about last week's Uncanny. Mm-hmm. So, I'm trying to remember it now. So, this is related to last week's issue. Let's see here.
So she's basically got Spidey sense now.
Uh, so she's developing some kind of telepathic power. I kind of, like it's hard to, like we read so much, it's hard to remember some of these times
Right.
that
And
they mentioned this. So this may be a secondary mutation.
yeah, that would make sense.
So we'll see. But yeah, no, I kind of remember. Now I'm gonna have to go back and reread it.
Don't feel bad. I think I need to read it in the first place. So, it either. So,
Right.
but yeah, that's a thing. Next up, though, Marvel welcomes Hulkette into the universe,
Oh my
officially adding the newest teen member of the Hulk family to comic canon. They do love their redheaded woman Hulks. She-Hulk aside. So let's see. Okay, yeah, and it's coming out of the book that I was about to mention anyway. Apparently, there was a new Spider Girl in in last week's Spider Boy book,
God.
and apparently in Spider Boy. Oh, so let's see. She's going to make her in-universe debut ahead of the new Champions team relaunching in January 2025. In the pages of maybe not in the pages, but basically on the variant cover for Spider-Boy number 13. Spotlighting the official debut of Hulkette alongside her fellow new champion hero, Spider-Boy. Slott has teased that Hulkette will get caught up in the webs of not only Spider-Boy, but the new Spider-Girl and Daredevil. So, yeah. Von Gloom says they wish that they made the Winter Wolverine more aesthetically different. That's what I guess I was going back to what I was asking about earlier. It's like that Jean Grey Scott Summers psychic rapport. Oh, talking about Rogue's new ability. And we have a She-Hulk, Hulkling, and Hulkette. And don't forget Braun. Don't forget Braun. Amadeus Cho is still around. As I talked about last week with that Iron Man show. I don't know if you saw that, Agent 70. They're basically they're basically doing a teeny bopper, basically a Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, but with Iron Man, Riri, and Amadeus Cho for Disney Junior.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
It's called Iron Man and His Awesome Friends. That is that is the actual title. So yeah, I talked about it last week. Anyway, next up.
More Screen Rant stuff. So, as part of the ongoing Incredible Hulk, the story by Philip Kennedy Johnson, because it's firmly entrenched in horror and magic. Basically, the Hulk has been bound by chains that he cannot break. So that's where this article's titles come from. But these are magical chains. So, magic is bound to do many things that the Hulk, even with all of that strength, cannot overcome.
Yeah, Screen Right. Get it together, Screen Rant.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah. All right. Marvel Comics announces Daredevil Cold Day in Hell series at New York Comic Con. It's going to be written by Charles Soule and with art by Steve McNiven. And it is a dark future epic according to this Marvel article, aka press release. Daredevil Cold Day in Hell will mark McNiven's first major Marvel Comics work in nearly a decade. And of course, Charles Soule. Charles Soule has written for Daredevil, right?
Yeah, he had his own whole run.
That's what I thought. Yeah, and it says here, who had a classic run on Daredevil in 2015, and they worked together on Death of Wolverine. And McNiven worked on Old Man Logan. So it is, but Daredevil Cold Day in Hell is set in the Marvel Universe on the brink of collapse. The series introduced a grizzled, older version of Matt Murdock. So basically, Matt Murdock. It says, years into a future, a powerless Matt Murdock is no longer Daredevil, but he's still a man without fear. It goes on from there. There's going to be some other folks pop in, such as Captain America. So yeah. But hey, you can check that out in April. and it's going to be a 3-issue limited series. That was what I was looking for. Next up.
So Doctor Doom becomes Emperor of the Marvel Universe in 2025. This was announced at New York Comic Con at the Next Big Thing panel by Marvel. So The Rise of Emperor Doom is a 5-issue limited series kicking off in February 2025. That's right around the corner, folks. The series is written by Ryan North. That's good. With art by R.B. Silva. That's even better. And cover art by Ben Harvey. Okay. So this is The Rise of Emperor Doom is a story set 6 months after Doom becomes the Marvel Universe's new Sorcerer Supreme. And for some reason, when Doom emerges from hiding to declare himself Emperor of the world, the various world leaders seem happy to bend to his will, which leaves only the Avengers to stand against him. Okay, what about the Fantastic Four? But anyway, at the end of the day, that's pretty cool. We both talked about this coming up, and the rest of this article also covers a few other things like the Ultimate Wolverine that Roddykat just talked about.
Mm-hmm. So thinking about the whole Rise of Emperor Doom thing reminded me that there was a graphic novel called Emperor Doom already from Marvel.
Right.
From back in '87, and I'm seeing like, wait, why didn't they just go? Well, I guess we know why they didn't go there because it was already a thing, and I don't think we had it on our list of things to cover during the pandemic.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but that was one I think I feel like I might have skimmed through, but I don't think I read closely. I'm actually looking at it now, and I don't remember too much about it. I do remember it was the East and West Coast with the together.
Right. So the story is going to be One World Under Doom.
Of course.
That's pretty funny.
Yes. Once again. Oh, apparently also it says here that down a little lower in the article that Marvel will launch Power Man Timeless in February 2025, which is a 5-issue spinoff of last year's Timeless one-shots. And we'll see the hyper-powerful Luke Cage from the future travel to the present to deal with a new threat. Which, now that I think about it, yeah, I think wasn't that a thing that actually did show up in that Timeless?
What's that?
That it was like a Luke Cage from the future that was doing some time travel.
Yes, yeah, that's where it's from.
Yeah. So this is a spinoff of that, and the series will be written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, who's been on this show before, by the way, and drawn by Bernard Chang. And Marvel is finally bringing back the astonishing branding for a series of digital comics on the Marvel Unlimited. The line kicks off with Scott Ackerman and Salvin Espin's Astonishing Spider-Man, which has already started, and Astonishing X-Men in December, and Astonishing Avengers, which is coming in January. So, if you thought Astonishing has been dead and gone, think again. Next up, but only if you have Marvel Unlimited. So there you go.
Right. It's a tool.
There you go. Not a sponsor, just a tool.
It's a tool.
Which
it's a tool. All right.
I just had to re-up on as well. So.
Right. So wait. So that was the Marvel Comics Spider-Man and Venomous Friends panel.
No, that's still on that Emperor Doom article.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, like I didn't continue reading that thinking that there was going to be another article.
Right. I didn't think so. I didn't think there was going to be anything else to it either. But yeah.
Apologies.
No
All right.
worries.
You want to take this one? Or you want me to take it?
No, go for it. Oh wait, no,
right.
you took the Emperor Doom, so I'll take this one. Yeah.
I was about to say because you could always talk about the magic one after.
You know what? I figured you would do that. You would want no part of that. So sure, I'll take it. So go for it. So
all
yeah,
right.
go ahead, take
So we'll switch up the order a little bit here, folks. More New York Comic Con stuff. Marvel Comics Spider-Man and his Venomous Friends panel revealed a bunch of stuff. Venom. Anyway, there's a new series coming out, Eddie Brock Carnage. Oh my god. So this is more Venom War stuff. Yeah. So they revealed some Venom War number 4 here. So if you scroll through here, this is all stuff neither of us are reading.
Pretty
who is the
much.
last Venom standing? I don't know if people care, but people do. You know, I don't want to, shit all over what Al Ewing's working really hard on, and Ivan Coelho are working on. I'm sure, it's really good if you're a fan of these characters.
I'm shitting on the characters, not Al Ewing.
Right.
and
Exactly.
the popularity therein.
Right. They also revealed some stuff regarding the 8 deaths of Spider-Man, which is going to be tied into the whole Emperor Doom stuff. So this is Amazing Spider-Man number 61. This is coming on the heels of the current Zeb Wells run. So lots of Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and Emperor Doom stuff going on.
And also restrained because they could have renumbered, and also restraint because they could have renumbered Amazing Spider-Man and they didn't, thankfully.
That's funny. It's funny that you mentioned that. That's true. That's true. Anyway, next up.
All right. So here's the thing that Agent 70 wanted to have no parts of, which I understand, but I also weigh into. But first, let me get that. Soul had the apprentice for Daredevil and that weird artsy villain who killed people and made them into art pieces. Okay. Ben Harvey, Steve Harvey's son. You're silly. Richards knows better. Shakes metallic fist. And finally, returning to Old Man Luke. Yes. I would probably have to go back and read that thing before you get that thing. But anyway, Toy Corner-ish type stuff. Magic the Gathering's Marvel crossover details revealed, and boy, I was mad when I saw this because they know they got me on the hook. As a matter of fact, I saw this right after I recorded the show last week, so I didn't have a chance to put this in there then. But November 4th, it's going to be another secret drop for Magic the Gathering, and it is that Marvel collaboration that we had already talked about like some time ago, but we didn't know what it was. Well, here it is, folks. Agent 70 might actually be interested in some of this, though, because each secret drop layer will feature an original legendary creature based on one of 5 Marvel characters, one of which is Captain America. There's also Black Panther, Storm, Iron Man, Wolverine, and speaking of restraint, no Spider-Man. Weird. But each of these creature abilities are themed around the character. For instance, Iron Man will both create treasure tokens, then let you sacrifice an artifact to tutor up any artifact based on the sacrificed card's manual value. That's some Magic the Gathering stuff, in case you didn't already know. But so yeah, I think they're doing yes, it's the standard secret layer pricing. So it's wait, actually no, I take it back. That's a lie. Because secret layer stuff usually is $30 for non-foil and $40 for foil. Well, I guess because it's Marvel, the price is $40 for non-foil cards and $50 for foil cards. And there's also going to be a super drop, which is going to be $199. Don't ask me how I know because I looked it up. So yeah, so you can get each secret layer separately, or you can just buy them all in one big bundle if you so desire. And that's going to start in November the 4th, which is coming up very soon. And I'm already trying to put together money for the super drop. Yes, I can admit that. Next up, matter of fact, I'll go ahead and do this sooner because it's a video game thing. New mobile RPG, Marvel Mystic Mayhem, is set in the heart of the Marvel universe. It's a mobile game by NetEase and is a team-based tactical RPG. So you can join forces with, according to this article, iconic superheroes as they clash with the sinister forces of Nightmare, the malevolent Lord of the Dream Dimension, as he seeks to dominate the waking world.
Is that Sleepwalker?
That does look like, or next to Iron Man, that does look like
it is Sleepwalker. Yes. The article say, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on.
No, you're good. So, get a glimpse into the deepest fears of superheroes such as Scarlet Witch, Moon Knight, Captain America, as Nightmare transforms their dreams into dangerous dungeons, drawing energy from their mindscape. Doctor Strange and Sleepwalker, as I just mentioned, must arm their allies with dream energy to form a 3-hero battle team, delving into the heart of each harrowing nightmare to avert the collapse of reality. And there's a trailer that that has been nice. Looks like armor is also represented here.
I was just gonna mention that. I'm like, that does look like Hisako.
It is, and Spider-Man, and of course the aforementioned other folks. So yeah, it doesn't say when this is coming though, but it is a thing and it is coming. And if it's in its own mobile and they already got a trailer for it, it's probably gonna be soonish. Next up.
Alrighty, next up, Mondo Spider-Man, the animated series 1/6 scale Venom figure has gone on sale as of Tuesday, October 22nd, with a suggested retail price of $245. So this is based on the Spider-Man the animated series Venom, and it's got lots and lots of cool hand attachments, head attachments, web attachments. Yeah, it's a little on the pricey side, but this is, higher quality than even Marvel Legends.
Yes. Yeah, Mondo doesn't do anything too much slack, so yeah.
Yep.
Also, you missed last week where apparently scientists made web shooters and web fluid. Like actually.
What?
Yeah. You had to go back to last week and look at that one. It's kind of funny.
Oh,
Technically, it is and it isn't. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
But you read the article, you'll be like, yeah, they absolutely did. Von Gloom says Sleepwalker is also in that mobile game, but also in Absolute Martian Manhunter, which he can't get over that because we were talking about Absolute Martian Manhunter last week because of the announcement, and he keeps bringing up Sleepwalker because of that, which I guess it kind of does look like him. Anyway, Lego Marvel X-Men X Mansion set arrives in November. If you're watching the video version, you can see that here. It is going to have a price tag. Well, excuse me. It is 3,093 pieces, 10 minifigs, a buildable Sentinel, and a price tag of $330
Yep.
What's more? Thank you very much. What's more, Lego insiders will be treated to a Lego Marvel Cerebro set as a gift with their purchases while they last, which probably won't be long, according to this article.
That's crazy, son.
That is absolutely crazy. The set is going to go on sale starting October 31st, November 1st at 9 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight Eastern. Officially, on Lego Online, I guess. So,
all right. It's one of those things. I always thought that it would be cool to be a Lego collector, but then I realize now how expensive that all is.
Yeah, they get your hand over foot for at these days.
Listen, I had a friend who was a Lego collector. He wasn't into these sets, but I know I would be if I was a big Lego person. And
if they have
it's funny that there are, there are people in like sports that who come out and let their nerd flag fly for a bit and say, hey, I'm a big Lego person. But they also make millions of dollars a year in their contract, so they can afford this stuff.
And some singers also that I've come to find out, that have come out of Lego Maniacs. So
right, so that's pretty expensive. But anyway, go on. Next up,
it is funny though. But
I got the next one.
Yeah, I was about to say the only thing I was going to say is like, the sets have come a long way from when we were little. That's all I can say.
Of course. Oh, because of the branding, and the licensing, right? Once they got the licenses, that expanded their reach, right? Because Lego sets back in the day were based on real life things, right? But now that they've opened up to licensing, forget it, man. Everything from Harry Potter to Marvel to Star Wars, especially Star Wars.
Yes. And I think that was one of the first ones, yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, exactly. Star Wars was one of the first licensed properties that Lego partnered with. So, they've made a ton of money off those licenses.
Yep. Next up.
Marvel Spider-Man 2 finally arrives on PC in January 2025. Let's see if I get a PS5 before that. That's all I have to say.
I mean, yeah. So standard digital deluxe editions, as tends to do. I still need to. One of these days, I'm actually going to finish Spider-Man and go through that whole thing on stream. That's probably a check I shouldn't cash. Because those games are not short, and even though I'm like partial way finished of the first one. So anyway, that's the thing. Actually, it's good that I got this one. So yeah, so there's a Marvel collaboration with Monopoly Go, and unfortunately, I ended up putting that game back on my phone because of it. And this is an article on how.
People are nuts about Monopoly Go.
Huh?
I've seen people like in real life just like playing Monopoly Go, like leaving their phones on and like playing Monopoly Go, like either in the street, on the subway. I have family members that play. I'm like, what? Whatever, man.
I
Go
got
on.
in on
Sorry
that one. No, you good. I got in on that one early and dropped out of it like probably sometime last year. And this, like I said, this is the first time I even thought about Marvel Monopoly Go, with the exception of seeing people getting heavy into it in the past few months. I'm like, wow, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, this is an article on basically how to tells you how to get Storm and Rocket Raccoon tokens. There were a couple of other events that are now gone that you could get some stuff off of, so you can't. So that's not a thing. But this is the one that is still going on, and there's a link to. Oh, well, never mind. I should have looked at that, and I should have. Yeah, I should have looked at this earlier because that link is no longer valid. Because it was a valid from the 14th to the 18th, to where you could get the Storm board and token and stuff. Oopsie. Next up,
Hasbro unveils a new Skeleton Crew and other Star Wars Black Series and Vintage Collection figures at New York Comic Con. So Hasbro revealed numerous new toys and figures, including 6 new Black Series figures featuring the characters from the upcoming Skeleton Crew, as well as a Jad Nawood vintage collection figure, among other Star Wars toys like Sabine Wren and the Howler from Peridia, an Imperial Snow Trooper from Hoth, or a vintage collection Dr. Evazan. You got me with that one, yo.
That's the dude from the original Star Wars who was like, my friend doesn't like you. I don't like you either, from the Cantina.
That's Dr. Evazan?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. They gave names to all kind of crazy. You wouldn't have known. Like him and the friends got a name.
Okay.
Yeah, didn't know that.
I'm just like, okay.
Right. But you remember the part I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
they made him a doctor. A doctor of what?
Apparently, he was a doctor, or I don't know. I don't recall ever seeing any backstory on him.
That's so funny. I'm just gonna get silly with it. It's like what are you a doctor of?
Yeah, clearly a failed doctor or
exactly.
You
got a PhD. Stop talking. No, you're a dentist, not a doctor.
a doctor.
That's a Hangover reference, right?
Nice.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I'm scrolling through the Skeleton Crew pictures. There's your I forgot his name. Jude Law. There we go. Jude Law's character. There's one of the kids. That's the other kid. There's
with the trench coat. That's Jude Law's character. Okay.
Mm-hmm. There's this werewolf looking Joker. There's this I forgot to do with the Cantina band, but apparently there's another one of them.
Okay. Jad Nawood is the Jude Law character. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, all of those figures I just scroll through if you're watching the video version. So there you go.
Right. I was just looking for the putting name to character. That's what I need just now. I'm like, who the hell is that? Okay.
Right. Like the doctor that no one knew the name of. So. Because I'm pretty sure Lucas had said something. Because I know it's been for years people have said the exact same thing. Like, this dude has a name? Because, yeah, of course they did. You just didn't know it. Thanks, Wikipedia. Anyway, Avatar The Last Airbender is getting a AAA RPG with Saber Interactive and Paramount Game Studios. It'll put players in the shoes of an all-new, never-before-seen Avatar. So deal with it. Let's see. It takes place thousands of years in the past, according to Paramount and Saber. Players can expect to be immersed in a vibrant world, master all 4 elements, engage in dynamic combat alongside companions, and experience challenges and decisions that come with being the keeper of balance in the world. 87 has still not seen this show or the follow-up to it, but I wish you would because it's a good show. Doesn't necessarily mean he has to do anything with this, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a bunch of folks running around that game calling themselves Aang, or at least someone's going to get that name first, and the rest of the folks from the series. Next up, though.
So Amazon's new full color Kindle could be a game changer for comic books, right? So the Kindle Color Soft releases October 30th and is available to pre-order now alongside updated versions of the Scribe, Paperwhite, and more. So, I kind of agree with this because it's a slightly lower price point than most iPads, but not all iPads.
Right.
That's kind of the kicker, right?
Especially minis.
So, right. So the Color Soft is $280, and I'm going to presume it's bigger than a mini, right?
7-inch.
Right. What's the mini now?
Yes. 7-inch is 8.3, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, so this says it's a 7-inch full color display, but with that bezel, it's got to be closer to probably closer to a mini, because that's a big bezel. It's a 7-inch screen,
Right.
just a bigger bezel. The bezel's making it a little bit bigger. So,
Right.
So yeah, it's probably around the same.
Right. What's different about it is that because it doesn't have all of the features of an iPad, you get tremendous battery life. Apparently, 8 weeks on a full charge.
Right.
Right.
And that's because of the e-ink. So
Right.
which they've been heavy into.
Exactly. And that's the primary difference. That's the primary difference between this and an iPad, because I look at this and I'm like, I appreciate that that the Kindle's going to be in full color like this, and it does make Kindle purchases that I have, like Amazon ebook purchases that I have in color easier to read, but I can always read that on my iPad, but then it doesn't have that kind of charge capability.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate this.
So yeah, it could be something if it works out. Like, so I was talking to somebody, or probably commented with somebody when I posted this elsewhere. Like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see this in person, to see how it looks and how it how it functions, because it very much could be a game changer if that's the case. Because if it looks as good as it sounds, yeah, it could be a thing to get. I think that bezel's a little bit too big, but that's just me. So
what's that?
The bezel's a little bit too big.
Right. So. And I'm looking at my iPad, which I just which is still relatively new, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I would get a Color Soft now. But I actually don't use my Kindle as much as I should, like my Paperwhite Kindle as much as I should.
Yeah. Maybe you could trade it in and get this if
I was thinking about that. I could trade it in and put money towards the Color Soft, but then this is bigger than the little Kindle Scribe, a Paperwhite that I got. It's like something you can hold in your hand. I mean, I have big hands, but it's something you can hold in your hand.
I mean, if you can hold a mini, you can hold this. It's about the same. Like I said, it seems the same width and shape. So I mean, it shouldn't be that much.
Right. I mean, you have to get your hands on it and see.
Exactly, and that's that'll be thing. So when does this thing actually come out? So it just said October 30th.
That's a couple of days, in less than a week.
Yep. So if there's going to be a display at a store someplace, which this is not saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you have an Amazon store near you, you can see it, and I'm sure you could probably see it probably at like a Best Buy.
That's what I'm thinking, but it usually will say something like that. So I don't know, but yeah, hopefully, or a Target or something, probably more as just as likely. But it goes into
it's a 20. They're eligible for 20% off trade-in promotion.
There you go. Yeah, which they're pretty good about doing. So because all they could
do is I've done it.
Yeah,
done it.
Because all they're gonna do is just flip them anyway. So
yeah.
It goes into it says here that it's waterproof to a point, and the Color Soft functions. You can read the rest of the article for that. But like, if that sounds compelling, yeah, it actually goes into comparing the other color e-ink tablet that are out, and that. So yeah, you can check that out at your leisure. Next up though, G.I. Joe classified figures that were announced at New York Comic Con are available now. So you got a Dr. Mindbender, you got a Rock and Roll, and you got a Cobra Viper. Let's see. The sets, the pre-order started on the 22nd. So that's already a thing. Let's see, retro card back, Cobra Viper, the Foot Locker with all of these, the stuff that goes with them. I'm looking for price. They're $25 a piece, and it looks like they're all also should be available on Amazon. But if you were interested in this, you probably already seen that stuff.
All right. This is an old school rock and roll with
Yep.
an M60.
Yep. And a Dr. Monobuter, which I don't remember if we had one prior to this. Probably did though. Stuff.
Takara Tomy Transformers Train Bots God Bomber figure. Okay. So this is an imported Takara Tomy Transformers figure. God Bomber. Not sure where. Wow. Goodness.
Japanese.
Yeah, Japanese. Is that the new Batmobile?
Kinda, right?
It kinda looks like it, doesn't it?
Just kinda, yeah. But for you, if you're not looking at the video, it kind of looks like Optimus Prime, but with wings and
a rocket.
And a rocket, yeah. Well, the wings for the rocket. Yeah, actually, the other rocket. I didn't see that. So yeah, that's the thing, folks.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
What is that? Hooked up to Optimus?
Mm-hmm.
In that bottom photo?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh my god.
Actually, I think it is. Wait, I think that is the figure. Is just the rest of the rest of it in a configuration. I'm not sure. That's weird.
Saying though, right?
Yeah. But I think that is the figure, but it's just that's the rest of it. So that's why it looks. It looks, which is why I said it looks a lot like Optimus.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, that part is weird. I haven't seen enough of the Japanese. Even though I own them, I don't know why. But yeah. So the confirmed Japanese Transformers Super God Master Force. I have that one, and I haven't watched any of that stuff. And God Generate.
All I have to say about that is
Who?
And God Generate is the Optimus Prime, basically.
Okay.
There. So yeah, there we go. And it looks like that is they attach to each other to they basically combine to make Super God.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. It's a whole thing. That's a whole
thing.
Speaking of, I didn't tell 8 to 7. Well, actually, I don't know if I have it in here or not. I don't think I do.
This is this is like Dragon Ball. It's like combined with Super Jinray to become Super Saiyajin God Jinray. Oh
yeah, basically. But no, there is that whole collaboration with Star Wars that they did that I think I talked about last week. It was basically Transformers and the Mandalorian. So it's an N1 fighter that it transforms to, but the robot looks like the Mandalorian, and that's coming up on sale soon. And I'm probably gonna get that one because I'm a sucker. But anyway, continue with the Transformers news, of which there are a few. One of the largest ever Transformers action figures, highly anticipated re-release in 2025, and I believe this is Scorponok. Yep, it is Scorponok from Transformers Earthrise. But also I believe this is also a slightly different colored version of the original Scorponok. So yeah. I don't think it says the price here, but yeah, this is they note that this is the version that also showed up in Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise, the Netflix thing. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, I'm looking for a price. I don't see it.
Big.
Scorpion was big in the when it showed up originally. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
I just don't remember.
That was a season, well, technically a season 4 thing. That was when like the Headmasters and all that shit happened.
Right, and I was checked out at that point.
Right, and it was only like four episodes anyway. So,
got it.
Next up, though,
got it. At New York Comic Con 2024, Transformers 2025 Studio Series Wave 1 reveals were made, and we have some official images and details. So Hasbro officially unveiled the first half of the 2025 Studio Series Wave 1 at New York Comic Con, including the Deluxe Dark of the Moon 94 Decepticon Hatchet, Deluxe Class Rise of the Beast 115 Double Punch, Voyager class, War for Cybertron 11, Skywarp, and Leader class, the movie 8631 Galvatron, which is the only one I would even be possibly interested in.
Agreed. Got the Matrix of leadership Cuban link on his neck, also. So, yeah, that I agree with you on that one. I mean, $54.99. That's nothing to sneeze at, but hey, that's the one you want.
Personally. Yeah, that's the one you want.
So the rest of these, who cares about the movie ones? And I mean that actually.
Yeah.
Next up, though, not speaking of, Transformers Megatron brings out the Beast with the new Predacon action figure. So this is the Beast Wars version of Megatron, which is being released at Flame Toys. Let's see. I don't think does this transform. I don't think so. Nope. I think this is. Yep. This is just a figure. It is so. Yeah. It is posable, but it doesn't transform. The Furai model line by Flame Toys has now been revealed, and like I said, Beast Wars Megatron. That's what you got. I don't see a price here, but that's fine. It is standing under 7 inches tall, and it's a model figure kit, and Who cares? I want one that transforms. Next up,
Transformers' new faction officially arrives to battle the Autobots and Decepticons. Third party. So let's see here. This is comic news.
Mm-hmm.
So in Transformers number 16, set to be released in January of next year. Let's see here. So there's going to be a third party introduced to fight with the Transformers. It's a new faction of robots in disguise, or maybe not in disguise.
See, they call it a new faction, but we know who these people are because you can see.
They're the Constructicons?
No, the Constructicons have already shown up. It's Bruticus. It's
it's Bruticus. Oh, lame.
I mean, what is
they're
it?
Making Combaticons, like a third party.
Yeah. So, well, I guess that's what they're doing in this, or at least that's what this article is saying.
Right.
Is what it's doing. But yeah, because the Combaticons have been there. Like they've shown up in the last couple of issues. So it's just a matter of
this is from 1985. No wonder I was out of it by then.
Well, yeah, because once they just started putting all the combiners, well, before they even called it the combiners, right. they made all those other ones.
Right, and things started to get even more expensive.
Yeah, basically, because you had the Aerobots and the Combaticons and Stunticons and all those.
Yeah, I remember getting like a couple of Aerobots just because I liked the design, but I was pretty checked out by that point.
I think I had the Aerobots and the one that turned into Computron. Those ones. I can't remember their names, but regardless.
Yeah, checked out. My goodness.
Yeah. So basically, they're going to do more with the Combaticons in the next few issues. Because it's not like they run around, because they are. They have shown up. Anyway.
Wait. So it looks like this article talks about they're teasing a new faction. So it's not necessarily Bruticus.
Right. Is that what it is? Okay.
No, right. So it could be well, so this article talks about, because it's a Screen Rant article, right?
Yes.
So it could be any of the currently existing entities already in the Energon universe, including G.I. Joe, Cobra, la 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 la, or the cast of Void Rivals. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I feel like the Cobra La thing is, especially given this week's Void Rivals, it's probably the case. But then again, they're still here on Earth, but they're also out in space. So
right. So
it could be Cobra, like you said. Yeah, it could be any number.
It's Screen Rant, man.
Yeah, no, anyway. a little hyperbolic there. So next up though, and actually this brings me to my toy corner in a second. But there's new Star Trek Lower Decks merchandise. There's a card game, model kit, season 5 posters, and with what just came out this week, this Choose Your Own Adventure book, which I have in my hand right now, which I'm fairly certain we talked about uh, um, being a thing. I have not read it, that's why I didn't talk about it with the books. Um, I don't know. So there's a little close up there, and actually you can see it. Yep, see there's the book. You'll flip through it. It's a graphic novel style, looks like, but it's also. Oh yeah, yeah. So down at the bottom, you can see where you can make well down at the bottom of certain pages you can see where, or you kind of can't see where you can make choices. Regardless, I hadn't read a choose your own adventure book in a minute, and it's Lower Decks, so that's kind of cool. And I wanted to check it out, so maybe I'll talk about it some other time. But yeah, so there's that book that's on sale. There's this card game called Buffer Time. And there's the Cerritos, which is a model. I wonder if Agent 7, not Agent 7, if Matt Wang 97 is going to get this.
Okay.
Because I know he's a Lower Decks fan. But also there's some other stuff, merch and stuff, and of course, like I said, like we said earlier, the 5th season is already out there, started. So, but haven't had the chance to check it out yet. All right, next up,
IDW announces Mothra, Queen of the Monsters, Godzilla Heist, and more for 2025 on their publishing schedule. So this was an announcement at New York Comic Con. The Mighty Mothra will be spreading its wings in its first solo comic book series in 2025 as part of a trio of new series from IDW Publishing, including Godzilla Heist and Mothra, Queen of the Monsters. So, Godzilla Heist #1 drops on February 19th. February 26th is Godzilla versus America. Oh gosh,
America.
I wonder what that one's going to be like.
But there's a little blurb in about it, but yeah,
right. Yeah, it's 4-issue limited anthology series told by creators from or currently living in a given issue's feature city. Okay. And you get Mothra, Queen of the Monsters, coming out on for the date. I see the solicitation language, but I'm looking for the date.
Yes, right after the image.
March.
Yeah.
Following on March 5th. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yep. And you see some images from said book. And looks like Sophie Campbell's writing that one. With who is Matt Frank? I don't know who Matt Frank is, but he's done other Godzilla books. So.
Yep. That's the artist, I think.
Yes, it is. But I don't recall any other work. So, last but not least, Diamond closes Plattsburgh, DC. That's, I guess, distribution center. So, right. Diamond Comic Distributors is closing one of its 2 distribution centers, cutting regional drop points and consolidating carriers, the company announced. The change is, quote, part of an ongoing evaluation of operation, aka they're probably losing money. The company said Diamond lost its primary distribution role for Image Comics last year, according to Zod, and we've probably talked about. And let's see, the 5th of its one-time top 5 suppliers to make the move since 2020. We have also talked about the other moves that other people have been making in the last couple of years in that space away from Diamond. The biggest change is the elimination of Diamond's warehouse in Plattsburgh, New York, which was cited there for its proximity to the U.S. entry point for comics from Canadian printers. Diamond will handle all shipments from its Olive Branch, Mississippi distribution center after November 2024, which will be the last shipments from Plattsburgh.
So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to see people lose their jobs.
Yeah, that. And so if you hear any other Diamond shortages, then there's only one point of failure in that, as opposed to 2.
Right, because I presume that everything in the Northeast was getting, and if they were still getting books through Diamond, they were getting it from that Plattsburgh distribution center.
Right, which means they're gonna pass them, go down south, and then get shipped back to them. Which, wow.
Right.
So yeah, folks, that is the news for this week. There was a lot, and we'll probably have some more because there's still some stuff that's coming out of New York, but that was
yeah, this is the bulk of the news that came out of New York Comic Con.
yeah, pretty much. So it shouldn't be so bad next week. That being the case, let's get one last ad read real quick.
And then we'll get into some Toy Corner stuff.
Yeah.
All right, last ad read of the night is for Amazon. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us and click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, remember, you have to go to the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page of cspn.us and follow that and scroll on the Amazon link. If you use that, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. That helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
I have to tell you about something else funny that happened with me doing ads last week, but that's we'll talk about that after the show. All right, so what you got for? I already did my
it's late, folks. We're all tired. I did have a bit of luck. I don't know what possessed me to on eBay, right? But I happened to have been looking for something like this on eBay, and I saw what the prices were, and I noticed that this was like a weirdly underpriced item. And you're always suspicious of that because you think it's just a counterfeit, right? And even if it is a counterfeit, I don't care, right? Because I've gotten one of these Figma figures as a counterfeit before, and I was happy with it. It was the Mikasa Ackerman that I got, the Attack on Titan figure, which was long out of print, and I think what I got was a counterfeit one for cheaper, but I didn't care. It was good. But guess what I got? I picked up a Figma figure, also long out of print. It is Hinata Shoyo from Haikyuu. And I picked this up for not a song, but definitely, and I'm going to drop my background in a second so it'll come up, but definitely a lot cheaper than what it's currently going for. A lot cheaper. Like literally like a third of the price. And I jumped on it, bought it, and it came in. And I am very happy with it. I opened it just to inspect the contents, and I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it. So, very happy with this. I did not expect to see this ever drop. Like literally, this was selling for like $150 or more. That was like the lowest. I got it for 50 something.
Nice.
Right. So you can understand why I thought it was like counterfeit. But sure. it turns out if it is a counterfeit one, it's a pretty good quality.
Right.
Right. So it seems legit to me, so I'm very happy with it. So I can't wait to.
That's all that matters.
Up on display. Exactly. What do you got?
Oh no, I already did mine. That was the Choose Your Own Adventure.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I did that one already. So, but next week I will probably have a couple because of some. Some would say ill-advised purchases, but that's just me, and it goes on the number. Well, let's just say has a little bit to do with the Transformers news that we talked about, but not anything in that.
Right. I won't necessarily have toy. It doesn't fall into Toy Corner, but I did. This is a teaser for next week's New York Comic Con recap. I actually bought a mystery box.
Oh, nice. From who? Or from what company?
From
what do you remember?
Stylin.
Oh, okay. Huh. Those are usually treats.
They do the t-shirt booths. Right. So,
right.
So I was just, and I will explain why I kind of, fell to the temptation. So, but anyway, let's wrap this up.
Hey, you remember when that run of time that I was getting all those Marvel mystery box, those Marvel boxes? that are most of which are to my left and my right, but
wait, to keep the box?
I hadn't opened some of them actually.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
so. I did keep. What's funny is I kept the box. I'm like, man, this is actually kind of a cool box.
Well, that was the thing, right?
Yeah,
because some of the box had like artwork and stuff on it, but it was also good just so I could keep the box to keep stuff in it.
Exactly, and I think that's why I kept it. So
Right, because I didn't want to take all those. Well, one, I don't have any place to take those figures out, but I didn't want to.
oh, let's not talk about the disaster area that is my home office right now.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So yes, folks, this is the end of this here show right now. This is probably our longest show to date, actually.
No, it's not. But
yes, it
we
is.
definitely have had some long shows that revolve around New York Comic Con. So and San Diego Comic Con.
But even those hadn't run over 3 hours, to which this one did.
Close,
yes. But this one's over 3 hours, so I'm saying this is definitely one of
you gotta go,
ones.
folks.
So, folks, we will be back next week. Hopefully, like I said, we can keep next week's show still kind of breezy, even though it will be the actual New York Comic Con recap show.
It'll be a personal recap as opposed to doing all the news.
Well, it'll be definitely less news for sure. So,
right.
But yes, and we should have friends of the show, Matt Wang 97, with us. So that is a treat, as it always is. Doing that. And with that, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Nerds Nino Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. Agent_70 on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Which now that I think about it, I don't think I did that at the beginning, but oh well. You could also find this here podcast on the Coastal of the Podcast Network. That's cspn.us.
Do it today.
You could also find us on your podcast virtual place of choice, whether it be Apple, iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal of the Podcast Network. And you could also find us streaming every Thursday night, mostly every Thursday night, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/The Kliq Nation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Remember to click like, subscribe, and leave us positive 5-star reviews. Hit that notification button so you know when we are on live and direct.
Indeed. And yeah, I still need to figure out that whole YouTube podcast thing to see if that's actually viable, but whatever. Hey, folks, like I said, next week's the show. Probably more Toad Corner, definitely more New York Comic Con, definitely more news, definitely more comics, definitely more, well, definitely the last bit of Agatha for sure. And the last bit, or probably the last bit of Penguin. Now that I think about it. So a whole lot of things wrapping up next week.
Well, no, Penguin will still be going on for a couple more weeks.
Wait, I thought it was 6 episodes. Oh, was it? So
8.
8. Okay. So yeah, we'll still have Penguin to round us out. So
I think it's 8. Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Well, even if it's not, regardless, we'll talk about it next week.
We'll cover it. Yeah.
And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One, the fat lady is sung, but always.
Jesus.
Hold on. There we go.